So I will call to order the regular meeting of the Green Mountain Water Sanitation Board meeting, November 11th at 6:30. And start with a roll call. I'm Karen Morgan, present.
Dave Wickman. Mark Martinez. Roger Wendell, present. All McCarty here.
We have a quorum. Thank you all. And I would also like to start the meeting by saying thank you to our veterans for their service on this Veterans Day. I think we have a couple here, so thank you all. Are there any changes to the agenda tonight?
I don't know if Josh spoke to you about this, but maybe get the lobbyists in a little bit early. Have you discussed that?
Director Wickman was going to make the same suggestion.
Oh.
So you are moving to move that to when? Before
well,
public comment, after public
Probably
comment?
immediately after public comment.
I would second that.
Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor of moving the lobbyist presentation to right after public comment? Okay, so we'll have unanimous approval. Thank you. Any other changes? Okay. Well, with that, we'll move to public comment. And I'm going to give people online notice to get their phones ready. And is there anybody in the room that would like to comment? Would you like to say anything to them? And we'll be hearing from you. Anybody online? Let know. I see your hand raised.
I got my phone ready, but I'm using the computer, so let's see if the computer will die. I'm just gonna say good luck to you guys. I'd love to hear about the lobbyists, and that's it. Have a good meeting.
Thank you. Anybody else online? Like to raise your hand? I'm not seeing any. So with that, we are going once, twice, and closing public comment. All right, so we will now move to a presentation from our lobbyists, and I will turn the floor over to you. Do you have what's your meeting?
Sam has
Oh.
the presentation,
Okay.
and then he has the copy, you can send it out to
Okay,
everyone.
great.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having us here today. My name is Heidi Morgan. This is Sheena Weaver. We're gonna get a little, and Haley Kryling here.
It's her Karen's sister.
No relation.
That's the rumor.
But we were brought on this past winter to do lobbying for Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District. And we wanted to come in and provide an overview of some of the work that we did. You know, a lot of you heard this at the end of the session, so we're not going to spend a lot of time on a recap, but we'd really like to lay out the groundwork of what to expect in the next session, because Colorado is very active, continues to be active on policy issues. You'll hear a lot about the number of bills and all those things, but just wanted to make sure that we came in and provided you an overview of what to expect. A little background on myself. I've been working or in the public policy arena for the last 30 years. I started when I was 5, you know, just an ace, right? But just a passion for it. I worked in Washington, DC for a number of years, did everything there from working for a government agency to political fundraising to lobbying, then transitioned here to Colorado. Worked for some companies lobbying and then transitioned to starting my own firm, which I did in 2018. And very happy to represent you all. So appreciate that.
Nice to see you all. Again, I know last time I was on the Zoom and I was in a car, so it was very difficult to participate, but happy to be here again. Sheena Weaver, also about 30 years of lobbying or in the public policy arena. I think this is actually going to be my 29th session, so which is a little crazy for me to add up and think about. I started my career in Connecticut. I lobbied for local government issues in front of the State House for the Connecticut Municipal League and worked with them as their state relations manager with a team of 6 lobbyists. About a dozen years, I think is how long it was. I moved out here about a dozen years ago, so about equal amount of time, and I've filled a variety of positions in the last 2 gubernatorial administrations. and opened up my own firm 5 years ago. And Heidi and I have been collaborating on a number of clients, and it's been great working with all of you and working on your issues.
And Haley is our policy assistant. She just started this past month and has been doing a wonderful job. So, yeah. Thank you. Next. Please. The next slide.
There you go.
Yeah.
So really, the ultimate role of a lobbyist is to be your eyes and ears on the ground. There are hundreds of pieces of legislation that are introduced each year. And I would hazard a guess to say the majority of them have not been well stakeholdered. They have an intention, a good idea, potentially, whatever it might be, but they really are lacking the boots on the ground knowledge that your board can provide in terms of thinking through the legislation, making sure that it's hitting the goals of the legislators, potentially assuming that you're aligned with some of those goals, but really helping to inform the legislation about the practical implementation, because they see a perceived need or a perceived issue, but it's really the implementation that happens after the bill's been passed that's really important. So we bring your voice to that conversation, and then as necessary and as the opportunity arises, you in particular to the conversation, to testify in committee, speak to legislators if need be, talk with other stakeholders, and that's really what our role is. If we have, if you go to the next slide, this is something we like to say to people: if you're not at the table as part of the conversation, then you were on the menu. And it's not through any sort of nefarious purposes that they're dishing you up on the menu, but it's really because they just don't understand, generally speaking, about how this is going to impact you or whomever the the stakeholder is in the conversation. And so, we really focus on identifying issues that might be of interest to you, good and bad, sharing them over, getting your feedback and thinking through how do we impact the policy? Do we make it better? Do we support it? Whatever those positions are that you might have, and then really making sure your voice is part of the conversation. I see that as being incredibly critical.
So last year, the two top issues that we were working on your behalf were cap fees for special districts and then the dominant eminent domain issue. We were able to get a good resolution on tap fees, working collaboratively with the sponsor and sponsors and stakeholders. And dominant eminent domain ended up being PI, postponed indefinitely, or killed by the sponsor after a number of special districts, water districts came in and talked about the concerns that they had with the issue of the change in definition for dominant eminent domain. And the sponsor, who's the assistant majority leader in the House, Jennifer Bacon, agreed to have a stakeholder process during the interim. The organization has been engaged with that, and we feel pretty confident that there won't be a bill going forward, but there is still a possibility of it. The proponents of the legislation, which were broader, said that they, bless you, would not be pursuing it, but the sponsor could still try to bring something back. So we're just trying to stay on top of that issue. As bills come and go each session, there's sometimes remnants that flow into the next session. So,
And who is the sponsor?
Assistant Majority Leader Jennifer Bacon from Denver.
So it's not Brittany Patterson?
No, so all of the stuff that we're gonna be talking about today is at the State House level. Congressperson Brittany Patterson is
Oh,
in.
I'm sorry, I'm getting confused. I remember Rebecca Stewart.
Oh, Rebecca Stewart. So
Yes,
Rebecca
I'm sorry.
was one tap fees for special districts.
Right, that's
Yeah.
what got me confused.
Yeah.
But she's still the one.
She's still your legislator, yes.
Well, I was
Yeah,
gonna say Morrissey's the problem.
I'm sorry.
Did I say that out loud?
No, I
Inside.
have testified so many times that Barbara Kirkmeyer's been on the opposite side.
Um,
I was just wondering, was she even for any of that?
Well, she was one of the Senate sponsors for it. She, like the other sponsors of the bill, collaborated with us in coming to a resolution on the final bill that
Was
was
she
passed.
for this?
We have to assume she was because she was a sponsor of it. So,
And she voted for
and
it.
she voted for it, yeah.
Yeah, we
I
were
think-
against it, we're trying to modify it, yeah, that figures.
Do we have any sense as whether Rebecca's after us again?
At this point, we have not heard any rumblings of that. We're doing some, reconnaissance work to see if there are any other bills, floating around that might have an impact on your district or, just water districts in general.
We spent a fair amount of time during, really in the September, October, November, December timeframe, having coffees and lunches with people, and Heidi and I share rumors that we hear, and we haven't heard as of yet anything negatively or positively impacting you, so.
Well, Dylan, you just sent us something, or your people, on our tap fees here. And one of the things I got out of it was that sewer seemed to be less of a overhanging threat, where most of the concern was more water. And in as much as, I guess I'm thinking our water situation is not that big a deal, it's been sewer for us. We provide sewer for people outside the district, so that was like the issue from my perspective. When I read your memo, is that the conclusion that sewer is not really so much a threat hanging over us right now?
Yeah, it's my interpretation of the House Bill 25-1211. The sanitary taps are not affected by the policy changes required by that. Yes,
So that's relatively better.
yes.
Take any good news I get.
I have a general question. I'm not even sure how to ask it, but I'll try. When they introduce these bills, I'm sure they're very passionate about whatever they're interested in. Are they generally responsive to lobbying and public input, or is it just like grudgingly they have to do it? What is your sense? It seems to me like they'd be focused on what they want and we're the nuisance.
It varies by legislator. So some legislators are very, very open and very inclusive in getting information and feedback, even if it doesn't align with their views. And some are not. We found with both of these bills, the sponsors were very, very open to hearing our views. From the get-go, we did not have to push to, get a seat at the table. We just went to them and they started listening and I think we found it to be a very good process with them.
Are you saying Stewart was open
And she didn't agree with us, but she was open to hearing our viewpoint.
and they're going off on their own?
Well, at the end of the day, I was saying, we ended up getting, I think, a tap fee bill that the district could implement. And I think that was a good product for the district.
And another novice general question. They have no obligation to meet with you or anyone, do they?
No,
So how are you able to gain time with them?
it's relationship building.
Yeah, I
so-
think that's, back to my conversation about coffees and lunches and stuff, and working with the people for the years. I think that, the freshmen are the most challenging because they are green and they also are like, holy cow, what have I gotten myself into? Because it's a whole new world. But it's about building those relationships, building the trust so that we can say to someone, we disagree with you, but still have a good dialogue. And I would say the overwhelming majority of the legislators are that way. There are definitely those that struggle with hearing that they might have gotten it a little bit wrong. And that's the art of what we do, is to not say, you got it wrong, but here are some things that maybe someone didn't share with you or you hadn't thought about. And
Here's an unintended consequence that we don't think.
and that's a word we use a lot, is unintended consequence, because that's really, it doesn't set them on edge. But generally, it's really about having built those relationships and worked with them over time so that they trust you. And that's ultimately what we have to really focus on, because if they don't trust us and the information that we're providing to them, then they're not gonna spend the time listening to us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So just a little bit more on 25, even though this just happened, but you may have read We have a really challenging budget. We're going into several fiscal years, I would say, where it's going to be a real struggle with the budget. We have a special session this summer that made some cuts to the budget, some adjustments to the budget. You know, depending on who you talk to, depends on where, you know, how they point out it's not going to be. And I think I might, no, I do have this on this slide. You know, we've had some structural challenges that have been identified over the last couple of years, and on some one-time spending on ongoing programs that have created some of the challenges. The federal bill that passed in July, it kind of exacerbated that because our tax code is very tied to the federal tax codes. So what they did in August, I think it was, is they went back in and they made some modifications to Colorado's tax code to decouple some of those issues to address what was an immediate budget challenge. The governor also has statutory rescission authority, and he has gone in on October 6th and made a number of cuts to spending, but also transferred some cash funds, diverted some other funds that were focused elsewhere, and did some hiring freezes and some spending freezes. And then on October 31st, he also, when he delivered his budget proposal for 26-27, he did an additional 13 million in cuts. And the primary cuts really came out of Medicaid providers and higher education. None of those impact you as a water district, but may impact you personally. If we can go to the next slide, I can talk a little bit about the budget proposal, which came out on October 31st, really. It has about a 5.6% in spending increase, which, you know, certainly there are those who are very concerned about any sort of spending increase when we have some structural challenges. There is $400 million proposed for the sale of Pinnacle Assurance. Some of you may have read about that over the last couple of years. They are the provider of last resort for workers' compensation. There's been a great debate for probably maybe 5 years now about whether or not they should continue to be a quasi-state agency or they should be privatized. The governor has included the privatization of that in his budget, which I think causes those of us who have budgetary issues a lot of concern, because we don't know if that sale will happen. We don't know if that's the value they'll get for it if they do sell it, which would leave another $400 million hole in the budget. Statutorily, they are required to keep a 15% reserve. That reserve has rarely been at 15%. It's really been a little bit more in the 6, 7, 8%. It's been as low as I think 4 at times. But they have done a good job over the last couple of years of getting that reserve up. His proposal does include reducing it to 13%. You know, this is the bullet that I think concerns a lot of folks, is there are proposals in here, $17 million worth of proposals for new programs, which will cause ongoing expenses. And the Joint Budget Committee is just starting their work. Too far ahead of me. The Joint Budget Committee is just starting their work. I'll let you do this slide in a minute. They received the budget on October 31st, November 1st, you know, it depends on where the day falls. Their staff, they have a whole slew of nonpartisan staff that dig into the budgets and present to the Joint Budget Committee a breakdown of each agency based on who they're assigned to. And it gives kind of a state of the states for each of those agencies, and then breaks down what the budget proposal is for that agency. So the committee has that foundational information. And then over the course of the next 4 or 5 months, the committee then does hearings on every agency, where the agency heads come and kind of sing for their supper, as we like to say, and kind of try to make the case as to why the Joint Budget Committee should fund their budget proposal. And then they literally get into line by line figure setting, where they go agency by agency, request by request through the entire budget to develop the final package that goes over to the General Assembly late March, early April for their consideration, and then to the governor's desk.
Do you know, that's a lot of zeros.
There's a lot of
Up there.
zeros.
Do you know how many zeros are on the whole budget? Is it like 3 billion?
So that is, that 50 billion is
50 billion.
is the total
Thank you.
budget. Yeah,
Oh my God.
yeah.
And they're worried about set asides and crap like that?
Yeah,
You know, the rest of us pay our, rest of us pay our bills.
so it's a challenging conversation.
Yes, it is.
And back to Heidi's point about, many different constituencies, I mean, every piece of that state budget, it has a group of individuals who are very passionate about that funding. So the joint budget committee.
I like my money too.
Yeah, I do not envy their work.
Backing up a little bit, what did you mean by balancing hold? It was like 3 million.
Oh,
What is
so,
that?
so maybe in a previous budget, some money had been allocated to do something, but hadn't yet been spent. Those sorts of things have been held so that money is no longer gonna be spent on that, they're gonna bring it back in.
Great. So the session convenes on Wednesday, January 14th. It cannot run longer than 120 days, so thankfully we'll end on May 13th, another Wednesday. Hundreds of bills, I think we hit a record this past session, they get introduced every year. Many of them are bipartisan. You're talking about issues that touch everything from, your needs here to, to broader water issues across the state, to environment, to, economic development and housing and transportation and the whole gamut. And most of those bills do get passed in some form. It's not gonna be, the legislative sessions, they're not venues for bills to go to the wayside. Like there are opportunities for these legislators to come in and pass bills, and so they do that. And so when the bills get introduced, it's really important to have that voice, because more than likely some form or fashion of that bill is going to get passed. And it's important that your voice is part of that. So amendments can be added, your perspective can be part of that process. And I will say, it only takes 3 days once they suspend the rules. Thankfully towards the end of the session. That's when we call the crazy time. So what are we dealing with at the legislature? So the political environment that we have is Democratic trifecta. We have Democratic governor. In fact, all of our statewide offices are held by Democrats. We have a Democratic House. Both of those majorities are very, very big for the Democrats, close to supermajorities. Last session, the House actually didn't have a supermajority, which meant they could do veto overrides, all sorts of things. And, going into this election year, all of the House members are up for re-election, similar to the US Congress, right? In the Senate here in Colorado, they have 4-year terms. The House has 2-year terms. They can run 4 times, so they can hold a House office for 8 years. In the Senate, they have 4-year terms and they can get reelected once for a total of 8 years. So a total of 16 years that they can be in office. Actually, most people now don't really stay in office that long, even with term limits. So half of the Senate will approximately be up for election this year. Just sort of a political, history, and you may have all heard this before, know this, when you have a president and US Congress that's held by the same party, typically a midterm election after that will swing pretty significantly in the opposite direction. So this should be a pretty good year for Democrats. Again, in Colorado, from an election standpoint, typically trends more Democrat with Trump in office. So it's just a very, very interesting dynamics. Next slide.
We won't go into detail on these key players, but this is, leadership, as you can see, 3 of our 6 members of leadership are in their final term, and this is their final session. So the House will have brand new leadership in the majority in the next legislative session. It's also part of what Heidi and I are keeping our ear to the ground, trying to figure out who's in the running for that, who's positioning themselves for that, so we can have conversations with them about the needs of our clients as they start to contemplate that run. And you can see, there's been a fairly heavy concentration in the Denver area, but we do have some from the outlying areas. You know, Speaker McCluskey is from Summit County. Minority Leader Cleve Simpson is all the way from Alamosa. And then our Joint Budget Committee, the committee swaps each year. 1 year it's a senator as a chair and the next and the representative as vice chair, and then they switch. And it's always the majority party that is holding the chair and vice chair seats.
So if I could just add one more thing, even without, without term limits, we have term limits here, and we have about a third turnover in our legislature every election cycle. So we're constantly having to newly educate legislators for our clients. It is a constant education process on the issues and what they do and how things impact them. But because you have that third turnover, you really get a whole new slate of people in every 2 years. And then you do have a lot of re-education that happens. With all of that legislation coming down every session, it's really hard for legislators to keep, who's on first.
Yeah.
And, in order. And so it's very important to just have your organization being brought front and center for them on a regular basis.
Yeah. And the last thing, Heidi had made a point earlier about bipartisan work. I would say all of these leaders work very well together. The Joint Budget Committee members, which is made up of 4 Dems and 2 Rs, they also work very collaboratively together. And I think, the work that our leadership in the House and the Senate have done to be collaborative and think through making sure each member's voice has an opportunity to get heard, but that they also continue to move along has been really commendable.
And then, as we look at some of the policies for this session, obviously dominant eminent domain is still out there as a concept and may get brought forward this session. The Public Utilities Commission, their sunset review is this year. So various government agencies, quasi-governmental entities go through sunset process, and DORA, Department of Regulatory Affairs, pulls together report and updates that they think are needed. This happens across a number of industries and professional entities as well. So they bring forward this report, and a bill gets drafted to reauthorize the agency or the profession or whatever it might be. And so PUC is doing that this year. There are a lot of folks who are looking at this as a potential opportunity to Christmas tree with different policies that might be related. So we're going to keep a close eye on that one.
And real quick, before we move on from that, if you're not aware of what the Sunrise Sunset program is, it's a good governance thing that they do. If they want to create, which this is not necessarily done through a Sunrise program, but if you want to create a new regulation, if you want to newly regulate lobbyists or policy assistants, which we are, then you have to go through a whole process to prove that there's a consumer protection need there in order to create a new regulation. So legislature can't just pass a law and say, we're going to regulate everyone in deal and going forward. So that's a really good thing. And then many policies in these agencies, as Heidi was saying, they go through this sunset review to really evaluate, are they still necessary? Should we still be spending taxpayer dollars on them? Are they meeting their charge? And do they need any sort of kind of revisions or improvements made? And so that's really what that is about.
In addition, you may have heard about some other policy issues floating around. So we're keeping tabs on issues related to, the firefighter trust fund, potential cuts to, DOLA's local impact funds, whole laundry list. There could be legislation on recreation districts. So we just try to keep our ear to the ground on what might be popping up. Obviously, the Water Review Committee that met during the interim. Fortunately, there's nothing that came out of that process that was impactful. So it's just helpful to have an ear to the ground, because you just never know when someone's going to throw you on the menu.
And certainly if you hear any rumors,
Yes.
please do share them with Josh or Aaron or whoever else on staff, and so that we can run those down and work on them sooner than later.
Yeah. And that's really it. We just wanted to make sure we offered an opportunity to answer any other questions that you all might have.
Who do you primarily work with? Who do you primarily work with or interface here in the district? Is it Josh?
Yes.
It's Josh.
Yeah.
Do you entertain calls from the board?
I don't think that we've had any recent calls from the board. So.
I have been working with them. We had a committee at one point. We had nominated 2 board members to be working with them.
I thought you did.
Yeah, so, and I did, and that might have been.
That's probably during the session.
During the session,
Randy during
yeah.
the session, yeah, and we haven't really, since then it has been Josh.
So if we have questions or have issues, on with Josh.
Probably best, so that way they're all captured and nothing gets missed or falls through the cracks. But whatever you're comfortable with, obviously that's up for you all to decide.
Yeah.
So how many lobbyists are there roughly? Do you have any idea? And also, I understand you have to be registered. You just can't say I'm a lobbyist.
Correct. There's about, I would say there's probably about 1,000 folks that are registered as lobbyists, maybe a few hundred of us that are actually on a regular basis.
Yeah.
And there's a variety of different levels. So there is what's called a volunteer lobbyist, or if you have some sort of personal issue, you want to come to the Capitol and be very active in a particular bill, you can actually register as a volunteer lobbyist. You can't be paid for it, you can't be working for someone on that behalf, but we have to register each one of our clients, we have to register what our clients pay us, we have to register positions that our clients and if there isn't a bill already introduced, like right at this time of year, there's no bills out there. If you were to significantly engage in the development of a policy, we would need to list that on the Secretary of State's website, that you're engaged in that.
But you can lobby to introduce a bill on behalf of a client.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes.
But you can introduce a bill.
We can't introduce it, we have to get a legislator to do it. Be a lot easier, probably a lot more dangerous for everyone too, if everyone could do that.
What's the process of if going about drafting a bill?
Well, it varies. So some legislators come up with legislation on their own. You develop a concept mentally of what you want, and then they go to our legislative council staff, who are sort of the lawyers that take the concepts and put it into an actual bill language, legal language. Then sometimes there are constituents that bring ideas to legislators. Sometimes, I heard today one legislator say, I keep getting people sending me bills that they've drafted, they put the whole thing together, you never know. Some people do a lot of research and pull it all together. Sometimes there are things that happen that create, a perceived need to correct things. And, industries will come together and, might come up with a concept to correct something that's happening in their industry. Or, let's say an incident happens, catalytic converter thefts, just pulling that one out. There may be legislation introduced to try to address that issue that's been ongoing with catalytic converter thefts and creating greater penalties or lesser penalties or whatever it might be. So there are all sorts of different avenues for legislation to get introduced.
And I think for you as a client, if there was an issue that you were passionate about, you felt that you needed to do something on, Heidi and I would work with you on that concept, think through the politics of it, the likelihood of passage, get more details, who are the stakeholders, who are the people that we would want to be talking with. And then we would find from that information, we'd identify legislators who would be good sponsors. We would go to them with the concept, potentially with you, or, definitely with you at some point in time. And then they would, if they agree to take it on, then they would work with us to develop that language, and then we would stakeholder it, and then we would have to, vote count and those sorts of things.
Develop potentially
That was the information I was looking for.
Yeah.
Do you work with legislators much out of session?
A lot.
More than we'd like to. Just
Really?
kidding.
But the bulk of what you,
This is public.
but the bulk of what you do is generally January through May, or is it pretty even throughout the year.
I think the heat of it is January
Yeah.
through May, because that's when you're really on a time clock and it's a crunch for deadlines and such, but certainly we engage with them all year long and bring them ideas. When we talked about the trust level, you know, the conversation that Heidi had earlier today with the legislators, because that legislator reached out to her and asked her opinions on things, and so those relationships, they will reach out and say, here's an issue, I know you have a client that, you know, is in this area, can you help me with that?
And you have to really spend that time outreaching with legislators. They can get very busy. Some of them will remember to outreach and say, oh, I know you represent this client, this idea has been proposed. But, you know, they're dealing with 800 bills and probably, you know, they're supposed to each introduce 5. We also have interim committee bills and all that gets, that get developed in late bills. But they're dealing with so many pieces of legislation that are being proposed to them right now. They don't always remember who's representing whom. So you have to stay in contact with them and keep refreshing their memory. It's just, it's a constant education. I think I sort of like what lobbyists do, really, to being educators.
Absolutely.
Is this 120-day session kind of standard around the country?
It varies.
Every state is so different.
There's some
Even
states-
just the way a bill gets passed is so different. Connecticut could not be more different than Colorado.
in California, lobbyists can file bills, right? It varies very, very dramatically. There's some states that operate every other year. Some of them have policy years and the next year will be a budget year. Some have shorter sessions, some have longer sessions. Some are completely full time. We live in interesting times.
Little political science education for Tuesday night.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, we appreciate what you do.
Always appreciated working with you.
You know, we really have. So thanks for letting us do that.
Thank you for coming out. I will say it has been wonderful working with you both, and it has been really, you've been on top of things and really brought the education to us, and they have been working hard on our behalf, and they have given us a lot of information and facts through the time. So I mean, I have absolutely no qualms recommending you to everybody, but especially for us for another year. So I appreciate all of your hard work. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Let us
you.
know if we need anything else.
Nice to meet you, Amy. Thank you.
See you guys.
Bye, John.
Silence. It, I should say.
I believe next on the agenda is approval of the minutes.
Okay. I'm currently the secretary and to be completely candid, and I did read all of the minutes. It's kind of 2 days and I don't remember exactly the deficiencies. I think generally they're in order. I don't know if we want to approve these in bulk or not. Just a couple minor mechanical things that I did note. Our October 14th meeting, I think was we had a special meeting at 6 and a regular meeting at 6:30. That's not delineated in the notes. They've got us starting at 6:30 for both of those kind of things. I think we can correct the local level. That's about the only thing that jumped out at me. Everything is in order.
I have a question about one of the minutes. On
Okay.
October 28th,
Let me get there.
second page, legal matters. And it says, Director Hardinger moved to pursue the option with the 57 concept that Mr. Woods advises. What a total blank is it? What the heck is that? And you can always sit there and say, well, I should know. But all right, even if I should, and it's my ignorance, still, anybody else comes along, tries to read that, what would they think it means?
I am not seeing where you're at. I'm on October 28th.
Page 19 of the packet.
Can we get it? Okay. And which one was?
28th,
And
and it's in the middle of the second page. Legal matters, action resulting from executive session.
I remember that taking place. But you're saying it wouldn't be, most people reading it wouldn't understand what.
Right now, it's a mystery to me. Now you can sit there and stimulate my memory and probably answer my question. But that being said, anybody else coming along in the future, I think would still be baffled as to what is that all about? I mean, the board discussed the situation.
Would you like, would you like me to go over it, or are you suggesting that the minutes should be amended to more
Well-
fully, like discussion?
Yeah, I mean, we never have to go to the point where it's like verbatim, do it all, but just enough to give, I mean, at least trigger my memory, but, you know, give an idea to other people as to what it's about. Add another line or two. I don't know how much it would take to make that meaningful.
It's a good point, but what I've noticed in my brief tenure as secretary. It's kind of this way throughout all the minutes for every meeting.
Yeah.
I don't consider it vague. But I make the assumption when I go through the minutes, that if anybody had a question, if I were that person. That they could dig deeper, maybe go online, look at what was transpired, those kinds of things, if the minutes aren't meant. To be verbatim, as you mentioned ago. A minute ago. But on this particular issue, I can see why it looks vague.
So typically we just make an amendment to the minutes to say, what are you proposing? And then you would make an amendment. So you can say, if we don't have any specific language worked up, maybe we can ask Dylan, can you suggest I mean, in this case, the language was, we motion to pursue, I don't even know what it was, 57 for what, against
Yeah.
the city, like, what is that? I mean, you can just do,
I can,
can't
I
send
can-
sentence.
What's the definition of 57 concept?
well, it's civil, Colorado Rule of Civil Procedure, Rule 57. Also,
Okay.
as opposed to,
So your
Maybe
question was
just add that
57
title.
yeah,
Well, yeah, that was a big one, it was like, I think
Just like what it
57.
was.
Yeah, the Colorado procedural, whatever it's titled, just insert that in there mechanically, we don't have to. Would that help, Dave?
Yeah, well, I mean, it helped just saying that part, but if nothing else, you know, a phrase or sentence. You know, the general concept of. Whatever, is there one sentence you can come up with that would give it a little bit of meat on the bones?
yes.
Okay.
I can, maybe the board defers me voting on the 1028 minutes and I can insert a sentence.
That would be
You
my,
guys, we can,
that would be my preference.
yep, I can do that and then you can vote on it at the December meeting.
Very good.
That brings me to my next question, because we're debating on whether or not you can make changes to it mechanically after this, and I did not think you could do that. So if there's any other changes where they're voting on them, can we do that? I'm thinking we have to vote on them tonight. If you would like to make any other changes, like really need the time, I think now is the time to do that. Can you change it later?
Yeah, I mean, I have districts that, identify the changes, approve them subject to making those changes and then make those changes.
Yes.
So,
But we're not identifying any changes now. You're saying that
Right.
there could be more changes later.
right, so that would,
Okay.
yeah, you should identify specific changes.
Would it be appropriate to say for these minutes, we will just table them for tonight? This particular one?
The 1028, or, yeah, there were, I think, changes suggested by other minutes as well.
If you want to go through and identify others, the June meetings you had identified last time, the June minute meetings. you
Yeah, no,
identified
everything's in order,
everything's in order, so we could at least approve those.
yes.
Okay,
So I would like to motion that we approve this whole battery of minutes with the exception of October 28th. And that'll be reconsidered at our December meeting. And we'll have some proposed language that we can insert before then.
Yeah, we can get the correct language in and out to you as soon as we get it.
This week.
is there a second?
Second.
Second by Director Wickman. I would, move for an amendment then to amend the October 14th minutes
October 28th.
for the 6 o'clock
Oh,
time
I'm sorry,
that you have
forgot
previously
Naomi
mentioned.
changed, Yeah.
Yeah.
okay.
So for that one, we can change that
Yeah.
starting time for the special meeting to the 6 o'clock.
And it does say on those particular minutes that it was a special meeting, but it says 6:30.
Yeah, it should be 6.
Okay.
A minor issue, but it's overlapping meetings.
Right, so just to have that change documented later. Is there a second for that amendment to those meetings?
I'll second. I just have a question, by the way. I noticed in those minutes with the weird timing, the first meeting, I guess, well. Martinez came in, I guess, in the middle, so he was late for the first one and,
I didn't realize it was the first one.
well, I know, that's the point. So just kind of wondering, is that? Because right now he's listing as being unexcused for one of the meetings, as opposed to making the other meeting, and that just seems. I don't really think it's appropriate, I mean, how to deal with that issue, but, I mean, could he be, instead of being unexcused, can he be just late? I mean, he did get to the meeting.
The only thing is, we brought this up before, that members of this board have missed meetings and were unexcused. In fact, we didn't even have a quorum. So this is not the first time this has happened.
What? Since you brought that issue up, let's talk about this, okay?
No, let's not talk about this, I'm sorry, we're segueing. This is not a motion for the minutes. If you have a motion for the minutes,
It's not worth dying on,
Okay.
we got other things to do.
let's
so.
just approve the minutes. If you have something to say for the minutes or an adjustment, we can do that. If you have something else to bring up later, we can bring it up later under new business. This is a motion for the minutes. So right now that I have a motion to amend the October 14th, which Director Wickman seconded, that's the motion on the floor. Is there any discussion about changing the time in the minutes to 6 o'clock for the October 14th minute? All in favor? That is for Director Martinez. You are a nay?
Yeah,
Okay. Director Martinez is against. Then we are back to the main motion, which is to pass all but the October 28th meeting with that said amendment. Any further amendments or discussion on those for me? Okay, all in favor? Hands, I see 4 and against. Director Martinez,
yeah,
you are against approving the minutes?
yeah, I'm against.
Okay, Director Martinez is against and everybody else is in favor. So the motion passes. Thank you. All right, we are through with minutes. On to financial matters. Do we have any discussion from the treasurer or a motion to approve the expenditures and investment reports? Dr. Herdinger,
Excuse me, what did you say?
do you have anything to say about from a treasurer standpoint, or should we go ahead and
No,
make a motion on these?
The treasurer's still learning. I think we're doing pretty good, but there are some things that I want to talk about, but not right now.
And can I move to accept his report then?
Thank you.
To be clear, you're moving to approve the
Yeah.
daily and operating capital expenditures and
Yes.
investment report,
Thank
financial
you.
investment report.
Yes.
Thank you, Director Whitman. And is there a second? I will second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on these monthly expenditures that we do every board meeting? No, nobody knows. Okay, thank you. All in favor? Unanimous approval, at least we're with that. Good, thank you all. We are on a second reading of a draft budget. And I guess I can't count, so I'm sleeping on that one. I thought there was a trial run, but very good. Are we doing a, can you run us through the presentation again for new people that may be watching and all of your scenarios that you presented? Thank you very much for all of your hard work. There was a lot of changes since the last time. Thank you, Deb. Would you?
So as far as all the base rates, so we went from tier rate on residential and multifamily to a flat water rate.
Okay,
So that's a big difference, but that's represented in all 5 scenarios.
okay.
Commercials, big flat
Let,
rate.
let me interrupt it. That's an issue to me. And I have to admit, I had a hard time reading through all the forms. So I guess my question is, just that one issue going from flat to tier. What is the impact? If you want to sit there and say it's a 0.01% impact as in negligible? Or is it like a 5% impact, which is a big deal? I couldn't tell. I got lost in all the numbers.
So it's variable. So winter bill will be a larger increase than what was presented in October. Summer bill will be less of an impact.
Well, what I'm asking,
As far as going to a flat rate first year.
okay, well, let me just speak generically. We've always had a tier. And I think you know where I'm going with this. I want to keep the tier. Now, if we go to flat, what is the impact? If the impact is negligible, then I guess pick and choose your battles is not worth fighting over. But on the other hand, if it has a significant impact, well, maybe it's worth talking about.
Let me pull up the first draft say, as far as increases per bill, and again, the average bill. If you take total number of customers versus total consumption. So on the first draft, we go from a winter increase of 4.2% versus these flat rate, which would be
Can you bring up, excuse me, can you bring up that document that you had asked to?
yeah.
Yeah, that would be helpful.
You do the comparison on my screen, I'll read off this worksheet.
Or that page. We were all referencing.
Yeah, I'm sorry, by the time I was looking at it and printing, like I got 20 different pages, like which page are we talking about? I'm at a loss.
Oops, maybe. Oh. Yeah, so those are the percentages with the flat rate.
No,
You see that?
is this the original one? It's not, is this the
This
original?
is the original, this is going to a flat rate versus.
No, I want the original one. The one we based our discussion off of. I'll have this document we can write.
So this is the original. So 4.22% for winter. And again, that's average. And summer, 3.28% increase. So $7.25 for winter, $10.82 for summer. That's how much the bill would increase based on that original presentation. Second one is the other document, which does 5.21% in the winter, 1.36% in the summer.
Well,
Okay,
I would call that.
there was a document where you had a revenue that we were gonna either keep and or lose depending upon which rate we were gonna select.
So this same kind of document, with the first 3 scenarios, is that what you're?
Yeah, well, yeah, with the first 3 scenarios and you had an amount of money and it was like, okay, well, you're gonna end up with the first rate, you're gonna end up with X amount of dollars that we're gonna be able to put into the bucket, and then If you go the other route, you're gonna end up, with less or more. I
As
have,
far as,
Huh?
as far as capital reserves or?
yeah, capital reserve.
Yeah, that's included in that.
Yeah, okay, maybe I'm not seeing it.
This is,
So yeah, that's the bottom line of each scenario, is what happens to capital reserves. So,
And all these scenarios are with the flat fee.
all of them are with the flat fee
Okay,
that's presented here.
then do you have a relative comparison to same question? What would be the impact if it was continuing the tier system?
Right, so that's what we just pulled up, that was the difference in percentages.
we didn't do all the scenarios in the tier, because we asked for at the end of the.
So, yeah, as far as the bottom line, it's not gonna change much from flat to tier. So these numbers, that's the capital reserve.
Yeah.
The way we did it is taking total consumption divided by how much we need to pay for our water
Sure.
and cover reserves. So that number doesn't change. It's just this number based on each bill is the only difference between these scenarios.
Okay, so you're saying overall, there's really no impact, but it might be more.
Other than winter versus summer bill impact. So winter bills are gonna be higher than they would have been with tiers. Summers are gonna be lower than they would have been with tiers.
Let me digest that for a second. Okay, in the winter time, fees are generally lower because you don't have irrigation going on.
Right, but if you make a flat fee, it does change that percentage.
If you have a flat fee, then the summer becomes more expensive.
Right, so essentially, lower users are gonna have the impact, higher users are not gonna have impact if you go to flat fee. That's basically the gist of it.
Yeah, I guess I get that. What I've been agonized with, and it's not the last meeting, was the progressive attitude that what you're trying to do is encourage the conservation by discouraging people from using an awful lot. Obviously, the more you use, the more you pay. But in addition, the more you use, you're at a higher rate. And it's like, encouraging you to throttle back to a lower level. Where if you kind of take the attitude, I'm gonna be paying the same regardless of how much I use, well, other than the volume, of course, but the rate will be the same either way. And so that doesn't necessarily give me an encouragement to use less in order to get a lower price.
Right, so with if you kept the tier system, these are gonna be closer together. As far as an increase. By going flat, just what you're saying. The more you use, it's gonna be less of an increase.
So you're saying the difference between that winter and summer is more because of the effect of removing the tiers?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
Correct, because with the tiers, it would be a 4.2% increase in winter versus 5.2,
Okay,
and summer 3.28 versus 1.36. So yes,
But everybody's paying basically the same per gallon of water all year long.
on these
Yeah,
scenarios, yes.
and you're saying though that there's price reduction for those that don't use as much water.
Depending on how much you use. If you use more, you're not gonna feel the increase as much.
Okay,
So overall, water usage, you would anticipate increasing,
Water in, yeah,
no?
not
I
necessarily.
can't say, yeah,
Okay.
that one's a hard one to
So
predict, but
what ties into
as
that?
far
then,
as apples to apples,
Yeah,
that's the difference in percentage.
yeah, that part makes sense. So we don't know if water usage in general would go up, so that the question that follows this is, why was this implemented? Wasn't it the tier system to discourage people from using water?
Conservation,
So
the more you
apparently
use,
doesn't,
the higher rate you're gonna pay at certain stages.
it doesn't work very well, is what I'm reading into this.
To be honest with you. Dropped pretty significantly over the last.
I'm gonna say, that's my,
years.
Roger's question is my question.
But again, it does fluctuate. However, overall, I'd say we are using less water than 10 years ago.
But that was 10 years ago, and many people who wanted to have already changed out their landscaping. So at this point, in my opinion, that's why I'm asked for this in the first place. We have influenced the change and we have encouraged people to change as much as possible. And now you're just punishing people for not making the decision you want them to make. So I don't agree with that. I also think that you may be thinking about somebody who may be single in a house who doesn't irrigate and you don't want to pay, you want those other people to pay more for their yard. But I also like the making everybody pay the same, especially the way development is going in Lakewood. If we go multifamily, our rates are based off of these average users. And that will affect everybody the same then at this flat rate.
I wonder if it's analogous to buying gas at a gas station. My little bitty Toyota, 10 gallons, big SUV, 40 gallons,
Right.
we all pay the same price,
Yes,
$4 again.
that's what it is.
What do other water districts do? I mean, I know we used to do the tier system, and I understand the logic to that, and it's appealing to me. But if that's old thinking, and now this is a new way to go, everybody's doing this new way, then maybe it's something worth considering.
Yeah, I haven't really explored, many other districts. Last year I did a comparison on, our cost rows. What we compared to other districts and I did not see anybody that was doing flat rates. I know Denver Water does a tiered system. Theirs is a little different than ours, but
Excuse me, the water districts I encountered all have tiers.
Yeah,
Sure,
but-
that is still true forever.
And I'm going back to like, the federal income tax. We have tiers and the idea is progressive is a way of, trying to make it more fair. We do not do flat rates when we're trying to be progressive,
Right.
which again, we're trying to encourage people to use less. And so I'm wondering, how are we not encouraging them to use less if we tell them you pay the same rate regardless of how much you use?
I will once again say Dave Wickman, the progressive, which I never thought would be, but here we are. What I'm going to ask for, we can do now or later, because this was what we asked for at the end of the last meeting. So we have a number of budgetary items to go through. If this is not the direction that we want to go, perhaps we can just do a decision now on each of these as they come up. Can we have a vote to discuss these budgets? This is not approving the budget. I just want to get through. This is where we're at. Do we like the flat rate discussion or the tiered discussion for something to look at? Okay, so I'm going to move that we keep looking at these draft budgets as we have, that all have a flat rate rather than tier for the purpose of our discussion now. And we will make final approval later. Okay,
I would second that.
okay. I know this is a wonky way to do it, and I'm sure it doesn't conform to Robert's rules, but I don't know how to move it forward, so. Can we have a vote on that? There's a second by Director Wickman. To move forward, this is, it went out, thank you. All in favor of these flat rate versus tiers? I see 4 hands, and against would be Director Wickman.
Yeah.
Really, I might get a bumper sticker, progressive Wickman. That's great. Okay, thank you. So I appreciate the discussion, and those are all good, but I would like, very valid points, and there are other people who use that for our discussion purposes. That leaves us with, we can go through here and not argue about that piece of it. Are there any other questions on that change or how it impacts us before we go on to the next scenario? Did you have something?
Maybe, do these scenarios change dramatically between a flat and a tier system, or is this discussion gonna be?
yeah, I mean, that's, to be honest, that's a pretty small percentage change between rate increases. Versus winter, again, average winter bill versus average summer bill. The increase or the percentages aren't incredibly good.
Yeah, okay. And there's not some internal discrepancy that's gonna arise if the board goes back to the tier system.
No, so either scenario, you take total cost that we're gonna have, be covered by water rates, and we develop our rates based.
Well, then Doug, could you explain we have two scenario A's, and I think this is. And I'm going to sum up, my recollection from the last meeting was, maybe to set the stage, tell me if I'm wrong, Doug, was that there were two, two big, asks. One was, do we want to increase the infrastructure replacement fee to bring it up to where we were anticipating this year? We were doing an incremental increase on the fee.
Yeah, we kind of cut it in half.
So that would schedule us for this year to be the rest of it at $5 a month. But we also had so much savings that we didn't spend all the money that we collected from last time. And so that was scenario A's, as I'm seeing it, is just to spend the money down that we collected without any increase in fee. And then the two scenario B's both had an increase in the fee. So is that your recollection as well, the two
Right.
big contentious points?
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct.
then can you take us through the scenarios to how there are different ways to resolve that?
Yeah, so scenario A, that was increasing footage based on what the $5 increase would produce without raising the fee.
Okay.
That would take the reserves down 1.16 or 1.116 million. Taking us to a total balance of 34 million. Scenario A1 was increasing the footage even more and still taking from reserves without raising the fee. That would put us at 30,165,000. That is scenario A and A1. Difference in footage, excuse me. 16,350 linear feet of water on scenario A. Scenario A1, 25,540. So that's, scenario A is no increase to fee, pull from reserves. Scenario B is increasing the fee with the same footage.
Okay, people back to that previous game. I'm trying to get my head around something here. Okay, in A blue, we're doing 16,350 feet. When we go to pink, it's 25,540 feet. So in other words, pink is we're doing more replacement.
To pull from reserves from what we didn't spend this year.
So then we go down to, at the bottom, we're taking the million plus from reserves. That gives us a balance of 34.
Well, yeah, these bottom lines are what our reserve balance would be projected. So these two scenarios, we do not increase the IRF, it stays at $10 a month. That's what these are expressed. So we go down the page
The pink is spending the leftover money
from this year,
from
that we
the,
didn't spend. So then B,
Which was a windfall.
B is increasing it from $10 to $15 a month, so a $5 a month increase. Which reserves would stay where they, potentially right where they're at right now by the end of the year. B is with the increased footage and also taking from reserves with that same $5.
Well, my instincts are, number one, I think we should be taking more out to reserves. So whichever which way we go on that. Now, the other part is, are we getting right on it and making those repairs now? Or are we putting it in the bank and letting it kind of grow? Pros and cons of those approaches. And I guess my instinct is I would like to improve our situation as much as possible, which would number one mean that we would increase the IRF fee. That would be number one. Number two would be, are we taking more or less money from reserves as opposed to putting it, saving it for that rainy day? I guess that's why I'm trying to get a grip between the two. Like, the green one says both have increased the fee. Okay, that's fine. But the green one is, we're only doing 16,000 feet, and the orange one, we're doing 25,000 feet. That's an awful lot more work. But at the end of the day, we do a lot more work, we end up with a lower balance of 31. And if we do less work, then our balance jumps up to 35.
Now, so what we talked about in the last meeting, it depends on bids. We budgeted for 94.50 this year for foot or linear feet. That. Sound about right? So that's what we did this year. It was a big year. Bids came in very competitive.
Yeah.
We don't know that that's gonna happen every year.
Right, and that would make sense. If we see an opportunity, take it. But that aside, just all things being equal, do we want to get on it? Or do we want to take a chance and put it aside, maybe do it next year or year thereafter? Like now or later?
Yeah, that's kind of been how we've been, certain projects got delayed. So we budgeted for it, didn't do it. That added to the reserves. Interest rates were great, once 3 years, they're going down.
Now,
If they're not gonna go down, they're not gonna drop and tank.
well, that's like, if we knew what the future was gonna provide, and therefore it's gonna be a better environment in a couple of years down the road, well, that's the way I would go. But that aside, 'cause we don't know the future.
Yeah, that's.
Then the question is, do we wanna get on it or kick the can down the road?
A1 and B1 both are spending the money that the district was willing to spend.
Well, my inclination is to get on it, start spending now.
Was it
But
11%?
So we budgeted A1.
Oh, A1 and B1 both, because they're both 45,000.
Yeah.
I think it was already 11%.
I can buy it.
I think that needed to.
A1, B1, they do the same, 2.99%. The total water main, 7.2% remains at the end of life replacement schedule.
well, I guess one issue is,
So those.
Close to that 10%.
It's closer, no, it's not much closer, but it's closer.
do we want to increase the fee to $5? And I guess in that sense, I'm looking at, right now, we're charging the $10 a month, which I think comes out to the $60 a year. And, or 120, I think it's $120 a year.
Well, 10 times 12 is.
Yeah, I do the math.
I know, I'm sorry.
Yeah, where versus if we do the $5 a month increase, that will be 5 times 12 is $60 more a year. Add that onto the 120, that'll be $180. So for every person, does it go from $120 to $180? $60 more for every customer. If that's the question, that's the way I'm thinking. For each customer, I want to go up $60 over the course of the year.
Thanks.
I confuse everybody, including myself. No.
So you are advocating, you are saying you are comfortable with scenario B, with a $5 a month increase and spending down the reserves from that we specifically collected for that purpose.
Well, that's where I was trying to break it up. If the question is, should we raise the IRF fee from the current 10 to 15? Yes, that's what I want to do.
Which scenario do you want more footage of as well, or?
Well, that's a little bit more, but between those two, I guess I'm B1 because I want to get aggressive about doing more replacement.
Dr. Martinez, do you have thoughts?
I'm at the B1, as, for conversations last time and where we are. Getting more done. Do it now, costs are gonna go up. As time goes on, it just seems to be that we just do more work, any work down the road. Let's get it done now.
If that assumption is correct, and that's kind of what we're thinking, that would be the way to go. But question is, if it turns out we get into the year, and all of a sudden the world's going to hell in a handbasket, costs are going through the roof, and we're not gonna get an awful lot for our money, will we have the flexibility to say, let's throttle back afterwards? We had a good theory, but it's not working. Are we tied in?
And just take a rate here,
Yeah,
another rate hearing. I mean, there's no limit on you doing a rate hearing here, right, Phil?
Well, other than
Without
notice,
the notice.
yeah. Yeah, raise your.
So, yeah, comes to May, we're hitting hard times, people aren't paying their bills.
Or like you're saying, if all of a sudden the environment is really good, really bad, prices are dropping, let's do more. Prices are going through the roof, we're spending all this money.
Oh, yeah, as far as projects, you can throw all that back anytime you want, you don't have to bid. The entire.
Okay, well, that was my question.
Off the beat, right, so you can bid, break it into 4 chunks, bid one at a time, and see how the first 3 bids go.
So we're not obligated to spend that whole bit if it turns out a bad idea after all.
But you're obligated, but it will. If we don't spend it all, then the reserves will go up even more, so.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the alternative.
So if we were to vote on B1, we do not have an obligation to do 25,000 feet.
I think we have an obligation plan for it.
We have an obligation plan. So they'll
But
start doing
things-
these
yeah.
things, so they have to have some working.
Right.
They're designing and there's gonna be 4 projects, so it's,
I'm sorry.
and they're not gonna be bidding at the same time, so there will be staggered. Bid openings.
Yeah, I'm saying we don't want to do the 4th project, you change order one of the first 3. So. Getting out of my area.
Well, and I'm going out, too far now, but hypothetically, if it was like 3/4 through the year, then all of a sudden. Construction costs crashed, and all of a sudden everything is dirt cheap, we'll do everything for half off. I might be inclined to say, well, let's go back and start spending some of that balance.
If they can get it done that year.
Okay. Alright. Anyway, I can get all over stuff now. Anyway, I'm in favor of increasing the IRF.
Dr. Rendell, any thoughts?
I like the idea of B1, I'm sensitive to any rate increase for our customers, but in the secular long run, it's gonna pay off if we can get anywhere near 25,000 feet a year, plus or minus, averaging over time, it's gonna pay huge dividends in the future. So it's probably $5 well spent, although I feel the pain.
I hear you.
could we? I hear all kinds of things from the customer. Most of the time, I consider their depleted water usage, getting charged too much for water, but. I don't know if that's an isolated incident and all that kind of stuff, so I don't know the data. Can we do a survey or do we do any kind of surveys? Are you happy? You know, that kind of stuff?
Do we do any survey? No, because we don't care what they think. Who said that?
Who said that?
Carson, was it you said that?
It's just cost basis. So, what, are you looking for?
I wonder if,
What information are you looking for?
because we passed this data along. And then, we were, because I don't think I'm gonna see or understand a 6% increase. I just paid the daggone bill. And that was for gas, electric, everything else. And sometimes the wife says, oh, by the way, because she does accounting. She says, oh, by the way, and. That's nice. I don't give them fat rat's ass because I can afford it. So I don't know, do people really care about this stuff?
Yeah, they do.
Sure.
Sure.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do.
Yeah, but on the other hand, we're talking about $5 a month.
Yeah.
I don't think people be too upset with that.
Well, we're also talking about the other increase we discussed earlier.
There is a rate increase, we got to pass along.
Oh, well, yeah, the one in sewer, sure, yes, of course.
So now you're looking at it, he's got it delineated there, an 11% increase to the winter bill. It's just pick your pain here.
I think they do care about the money. Cause I've talked to some Solterra people and they care a lot about it, but some of them, I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, have we ever measured the data? We've never measured how many people are actually concerned about their water bill and how many are not. But, and that's okay, we don't necessarily have to.
I am gonna refer your question, I am getting a little confused. Because if you ask anybody if you're happy with your bill on any matter, groceries, electric, gas, anything,
Thank
you're
you,
gonna get a no.
thank you.
And I would say that too. So if you are looking for data outside of that, how to fix it, how to do anything, how else to structure it, that's gonna be, I don't know if you're gonna be able to get that answer through a survey. If you would like to
Oh.
bring that up, you're more than welcome to, but I'm gonna ask you to move that to new business.
Oh,
And if you would like to sit down with Doug, who knows everything, and he can take you through all the ins and outs and maybe have
He probably
suggestions,
already knows.
then you are welcome to do that offline and bring something back.
Why don't I talk to Doug? So,
Okay,
thank you.
And timing wise, it's probably too late for this year. It's something we could talk about next year, but again, I think everybody would agree. Nobody wants to pay more, that's a given.
Yeah.
But it's like, when we've been
think so.
kicking that can down the road,
Yeah.
year after year after year, at some point, it's time to bite the bullet and.
Yeah.
Cause otherwise, if we don't, somewhere down the road, it's gonna be, oh my God, we've let it go to hell. Now we've gotta do a bond increase and, you know, that.
Oh,
that
yeah,
sort of
yeah.
thing.
Oh, boy.
So but better to do it slow and steady, starting now.
Yeah, I would agree. It's gonna pay dividends well into the future.
so I'm hearing a general agreement on scenario B1.
Yeah,
Yes.
Okay,
So that's how we, for P1 for
Yeah.
December,
yes,
and you guys still wanted to talk about the tiers, right? Or.
I am not talking about tiers, unless anybody else wants to bring that up.
Trying to make sure I got it.
I also, okay, and we're agreed on that. And then this will come, we're gonna have a final vote then on a budget at the December hearing. Okay,
Need to adopt the budget in December.
I would also like to talk about the staff. It's not a bonus fund, but I would like to take that item out. And I'll lose it again. It's fully in the original draft budget, but there is a line in there for it's $40,000 budget for merit-based increase in pay band movements. So this is kind of going into the resolution that I just sent you all, the amendments to that. The reason for that modification of staff policies is this line in the budget. It turns out that we had a misunderstanding, not a misunderstanding. I have one understanding and you have another understanding on how things were going to go. So we were both reading the same words and applying our understandings. So as we have done in the past for Green Mountain, we have more of a set organizational chart. And we approve merit-based increases right now at this budget time. There is no need for this additional fund to be used throughout the year. So that's why I'm asking for that to be removed. That we would just do this at this, we would only approve the staff raises at this one time,
Emphasizing once a year then.
once a year.
Has it ever been used? Or needed to be,
I have not, in my tenure, no.
It's a new line. So that is, we kind of got into a little bit of, I think this disagreement is I was anticipating that our org chart was kind of set. And I think there was maybe still some thought of fluidity there so that we could be promoting people and creating new positions in future. And that's why if somebody, okay. For example, I know I'm going around about it. If somebody would like to be, go get a new certificate, and Josh probably would be able to do this explanation better, but my understanding is if somebody would like to go get a certificate to be promoted from a level 2 tech to a level 3, that we would be able to accommodate that anytime during the year. And that is why we have that in here. I am proposing, and what I wrote into that, an extra line that says a promotion will only be given if somebody has vacated the position. So do we need another number 3? Did somebody leave? And now there's a promotional opportunity to go into that position, and then we would increase. That person could be promoted. There would be a promotional opportunity. Does that make sense? As opposed to saying somebody just decided, or to go get a certificate, and now we will have 2 number 3s. I want to keep the number of positions as they are.
John,
I'm probably getting you confused.
it makes sense to me mostly. Can you tell us how many levels are there?
There's 4.
So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And how is that distributed as we speak? How many number 1s and 2s? I mean, just in rough numbers, just rough.
I think I can call.
So the idea or the goal is to eventually have everybody at level 4, so you've got this complete flexibility.
Well, currently, the size of our district, the operator responsible charge has to be a minimum of a level 3 certificate.
What was the title again?
Operator and responsible charge, so it's the ORC of the district on file for CDPHE.
So how many of those ORCs do we have? One?
Just one here.
And that's customary.
Correct.
And they need to be a level 3. What's the purpose of the level 4?
That's more administrative, regulatory, compliance.
And we maybe have one of those?
We have a few, but that they've had them for, including myself, many years. But as it stands now, level 3 is all that we know.
Just say it again.
All that to level 3. We don't have a
We don't have a 4 right now.
we have I think 3 4s. 1 4. I wasn't.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a sense of it.
Yeah, as far as the paving, we stop at 3.
Yes, stop at 3 because that's what the state requires. The operator responsible charge for our district to be.
So we have people certified as level 4s, but they're not getting paid a higher level.
Correct.
And we would like to pay them a higher level.
No, we have people that don't have any certificates yet. We have some people that are at level 1 and at level 2. And based on the level that they're at, they have a certain threshold of responsibility that they can go out and perform on their own. So the lower the level, the more supervision necessary.
And when they gain these certificates, I assume we're providing them the training on the clock, we're paying for the certificate, how does that work?
Yes, you pay for the certificate.
And is it difficult to obtain a certificate?
Is it time consuming?
It is
Does it
time
cost a
consuming.
lot of hours?
It's educational background or time on the job was where you have to be before the state will let you certify. Somebody can't just jump in and go straight to a level 3. They have to progress through the.
But if I were hired as a 1 and I wanted to be a 2, is there, and I didn't have the experience, is there a course you could send me to?
Yes,
And do we do that in this?
we don't, currently, there's a short school that's here in town, but it's, I've attended it several times throughout my career. We have training through our insurance that applies to the water and wastewater certificates, so that's not costing us any additional money for that.
Yeah, sorry to nitpick, but I don't quite understand. Why do we have any level 4s then if we're not paying them for it? I mean, we need the people, don't get
Yeah.
me wrong, but I'm lost on the level 4.
It's just, it was, I forget the year, I wanna say late 2000s. People that were at level 3 were grandfathered into level 4 when they implemented the new level. Because I think it was from California is where this is all based off of. So people were just given their level 4 when they weren't currently at level 3.
But for us at this district, nobody realized a pay increase.
No, and nobody has acquired a level 4 since that implementation.
But we have the grandfathered level 4s.
Correct.
Something that comes to mind just based on my experience in my career. What do you think of the idea of people having to progress through the ranks and waiting for vacancies before they can become a level 3? Like you may have the certification, you're a level 2, you've got the certification, but you're not getting paid as a level 3 until George in the level 3 job retires. What do you think of that?
I mean, honestly, like, based on task delegation, things like that, a level 3 just provides more flexibility to move people around and send them out to do whatever task that they need to do at that level. So we can't, somebody without any sort of certificate, we're not gonna send on their own to go
Sure.
check chlorine levels or anything like that. They need to be supervised.
Let me ask you this too, if there was a shortage of people, say the level 3 was out on maternity leave or something, and you didn't have anybody that was certified as level 3, is it easy to get a contractor to do that? To do that level 3 work? Is it affordable or reasonable or?
I would say it's. A lot of contractors don't have those certifications because they don't operate a water sanitation district, so they go in. Under the supervision of that ORC at that facility. So the contractors typically don't hold those certificates. It's mainly operators of water sanitation districts that do it on a daily basis.
What is the R? The ORC.
ORC is the operator and responsible charge.
And in rough figures, what's the difference in pay between a 1, a 2, and a 3, maybe annually? Doug, or are we talking 5,000 a year?
Yeah, something like that.
5,000,
I think it's kind of incremental, so I think
from 1 to 2, maybe 5,
Yeah,
down to
like
3 is.
maybe no experience to CDL, 2,500. CDL to certification 1,
Yeah, I think for
3,500.
green to.
Just, it goes up more.
Oh, so we have people that aren't even level 1s.
Correct.
Their CDL is
But we have
entry level.
CDL, right, or just not even CDL. And then they get their CDL and they move up. And they get their cert and move up again. And again and again.
But this whole conversation is line people, right?
That's what,
Here's our operators.
The field people.
yeah, our field thing.
I say, what about the staff, professional staff? The
There's
Now-
different levels within the office staff as well.
I know, we talked about it, 1 year, accountants or, the big 4 that kind of run things. We talked about it at one point. Is there anything we're talking about today, but with them?
Not at this time, no, because those positions are set. We're at this-
They're just gonna get the cost of living?
Yes.
Something I wanted to ask too, if we lose any personnel, field people, are we ever made aware of that? Have you had any turnover in the last?
We've had a little bit, we just had, one employee leave due to, they're having a child, and it didn't make sense for them to both have a job with the cost of childcare and everything else. So we are in the process.
At what level was that?
He was brand new.
Okay. Maybe it'd be helpful in the future if occasionally Doug or somebody would just let us know
Yeah, I
if
can,
we've had a little turnover, just so we have a sense of it. I had no idea. Where I'm coming from is, and I'm just thinking out loud, nothing carved in stone. I've always liked the idea of merit-based increases and have climbing a ladder. Some of the operations I ran were similar to this, but you had to wait for a vacancy before you could step into that higher pay. That's kind of where I'm coming from, but I could be convinced otherwise.
You working for the federal government?
What's that?
Are you working for the federal government?
I owned a couple of companies and I did work for the federal government for 30 years. So I did both private and public.
and I believe that's what Director Morgan was proposing, which just wasn't delineated, in the resolution. I'm speaking
Yeah.
correctly.
So I'm concerned about controlling costs, but I want to keep people, employees motivated, still protect our customers, so it's kind of torn in the middle of all this. It'd be nice to pay everybody $1 million a year,
Well, yeah,
but I don't want to raise rates either.
I add one thing to the part of what's included in that 40,000 on the budget line item. With the state's law that passed in 2022 for, we have a max carryover, if we go over that, it has to be paid out. We do have some of that, so that's kind of a buffer for that as well, so.
Meaning we
Not
have to
full
spend it,
pay, like, it's not that much, but
we do have to spend it.
we have to pay them out if they don't use it.
If they don't
Hey,
use all their vacation time,
So say someone has 100 hours, and that's the max carryover, they have. For 100 hours max carryover, they have 150, pay them 50 hours,
We have to pay them, you can't require that they take it.
correct?
That's a little unusual, isn't it?
State law.
State law.
Well, I mean, but unusual that we don't require people to take their PTO,
we encourage it.
but we can't require it.
I don't believe so.
I don't think, though, that we have ever had this item for that, and there has been enough slack in the
Right,
system
enough
to be
slack.
able to do without this,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, and depending on your, some years we have
A review.
main breaks overnight,
Oh, yeah.
every main break that year, that's gonna be that year. Next year, it's during the day, we don't pay overtime, so.
So if it
It
needs,
depends, but it's a buffer.
yeah, but like you said, if we needed to do another hearing, like we're getting crunched with everything, we can always do that too.
I suppose something that should be brought up is our relationship with other water boards. Are we, do we do all this work ourselves and need these certified people? And do other water boards contract it out?
Like,
Or-
yeah,
Or just consider our lot that contracted out, and it's a steep increase in cost.
it depends on how you're looking at that, and we never did get, we asked about that. Because we didn't get that broken down. If you would like to put that together and say how,
I might help you with that, I know.
Because the-
Let's see.
because the steep increase in cost is maybe per job. As opposed to looking at it as funding the whole staff for a whole year, plus all of our supplies and equipment and whatnot. Because if it was, I suspect if it was a steep increase in cost, everybody would have this set up
I just
instead of the other
saw
setup.
a multi-million-dollar hole digger for, utilities. 'Cause we thought I had a PSC. There's a small hole, But our service into the house is always pretty small too. It's under, it's like 3/4, right? Yeah. And this pipe was 3/4 also, and the hole digger. They dug a hole over way out down the street. And they had the hole digger come in and do all the work, and it did it in, it did. It was an incredibly fast operation, all one day, dig the hole, have this multi-million-dollar hole digger come in, put in the pipe. And
They pulled the new service through, they pulled the new service through.
yeah, it, right through, and I was so impressed, and then I was thinking, I know we can't afford to buy multi-million-dollar equipment like that. So I suppose for some jobs, we have to do contracting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, as far as
That's a good
manual replacements and stuff, that those are always contracted out, but
Yeah,
you know, replacing a valve or a hydrant, servicing a valve or a hydrant, it's much more cost effective to do it in-house.
and sometimes I would be more tempted to trust your opinions on that, you know, well, we can do this ourselves and we don't have to pay for the contract and we're doing, like you said right away, well, it's actually more expensive for some things.
But I mean, just costing out the Florida unit break. You know, there was a big break, broke a couple times. Our crews were out there for a day and a half. It was about half as much as it was to contract out.
All right, there
Someone
you
to
go.
come in and do
There
the
you
second
go.
patch.
There you go.
We can break all that up.
You might jump in, I get easily confused after a while. It's like, on the budget tonight, is there something we can be voting on, yay or nay? Otherwise, it sounds like we're talking about interesting stuff.
Right, interesting stuff. but
Is there a
it's not
motion or are we
RDI.
making some sort of action? Yay,
No.
nay?
To get back to that line item. I'm proposing to take that out. So that would be a yay or nay for the next version. That would go along with the resolution later. So on B1 to take out that $40,000 band for promotions and merit base throughout the year.
What does management think of that proposal?
I'm okay with it, like we've discussed, we haven't ever run into an issue where we've been. Over budget on. I don't know. Topic.
Well, if there's no objections, then let's do it. If there's an other side of the story, I have to choose between one or the other. What's the other side? I'm not hearing any other side.
That overtime pay can come out of that.
There's an overtime pay line item as well.
Yeah, it's, yeah,
Well, services are, you know, line item that handles overtime pay.
yeah.
Nothing really comes out of that.
This Morgan's talking about this one right here, right?
And so if you want to put it down, is that okay?
The only thing I can think of maybe affect that, do we ever lose people to other entities? We have somebody's good employee and they decide, you know what? ABC district is now offering me more money.
We have, yes.
And do we ever counter?
We have, well. We've had some unreasonable requests. That it's out,
Everybody does that.
yeah, and so we have not, no. And if that, it became a scenario where I felt that that was necessary, I would definitely. Let the board know what's going on and see what we can do there.
So you never lost somebody that you wish you would have kept. And you could have kept if you had just matched the offer. It would have stayed if you would have just matched
Yes.
the offer.
They've been, yeah.
Would you like a lower number? Instead of 40, 20?
Would that money then come out of this?
Can I go back and explain again a little bit, though? You guys are talking about different things. So let me go back and say. Mr. Stanley did we did pass not too long ago, a total reorganization and you adjusted the pay bands and the job descriptions to where you thought that your scenario would not happen again, where you thought everyone is fair. So if that had happened in the past, we worked hard this year, it was this year to do that. So hopefully that situation and everything is gone. And that is a little bit why I'm saying what he, I think, is asking for, and he's being very nice and saying I'm not causing him problems, to shoot myself in the foot. His argument that he's being too nice to make is to say that he is, if we would give him the $40,000, it's not to give, not to solve those problems that you're mentioning. It would be, can I give somebody else a promotion into a level 3 or make another level 2, or to change the job levels, the organization chart now going forward that we just did going. So it would give him more flexibility to do that in the middle. I am saying from my standpoint, we just did it 6 months ago, whatever. I think we should let it ride out and see how we do. And then if we need to do a reorg, maybe we can, but it's not, I'd like to let it go. I don't want to have that flexibility yet. I think that's where it's at. So that's a different discussion. Do you see what I mean?
Kind of, but it really, merit-based increases pay and movement, so. I'm going from the standpoint, I personally have taken, hit by headhunters and moved on. And have played that game with previous employers, and sometimes I stay, because they say, okay, well, we want you to keep you, so they beat that, or I've moved on. And gone on my merry way. And particularly if you take the attitude that, you know what, you gotta wait till somebody retires to move up. I'm sitting in a position, I'd be going, I know I'm worth more somebody than what, waiting for Joe Blow to retire. I'm out the door as soon as I can find a headhunter or LinkedIn or whatever to find me a place. So if you got somebody that you wanna keep, is that what this bucket is? Or is it that you have leeway by what Karen is saying, we set all these things in place in the current band?
Yeah, those specific scenarios I would bring to the board's attention, and I think that with the way overtime operates, we have just one bucket, but we break it out into overtime, things like that. So I don't think we're gonna be in a position where we would be strapped. That makes sense.
Okay, that's my only caveat of the whole thing. I just don't know. Obviously, we're not that big of an entity here. Places I work in, they're huge.
And I feel like the real we went through and the pay band adjustments and things like that, we're right there in the middle of the industry, so we're not at the bottom, but we're also not at the top.
Talent is talent. Where I look at it, and I've even had people call me after I've left them on a kidney back. Where they, so. I don't know what the talent level is here, and I don't know what the market.
Yeah.
I guess I have one question. So if someone does cert up in the middle of the year, do they not get that pay band change? So
No,
like June, they did their cert 3, then they don't move? Is that what,
that's exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
so they don't move until the end of the year?
They don't move at all unless the organization had a spot for Cert 3. Because we had so many spots. So that's the difference, is that I'm saying we should have so many spots. And what I'm hearing is we should have as many spots as you want to make up through the year.
Yeah.
And
So
that's
not everyone be a cert 3.
right. I don't agree with having a whole room full of doctors and no nurses.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at. I know that there are benefits to it either way, but that's where I am at. So that's what I am suggesting.
I'm just asking.
And, you know, I'll be gone soon too, but I also think, I mean, again. I know this is going out of order. Oh, I don't have it. You can, if somebody would get a cert up in the middle of, in June. They may be taking on extra things and that would make them available to the merit-based in November. I mean, you're talking about a 6-month wait for something that. I don't think 6-month wait is too long for when people work for these things. Usually it takes years to get promotions and sort of stuff.
That's big for verification.
I know, that doesn't mean it's nice. I understand that. It's not happy news. But that's exactly what I'm saying.
Well,
Did you
I
have a
almost
question?
spent too much time on this, I mean, $40,000 is relatively small potatoes to me, I'd like to move on one way or the other. I mean, if you feel strong, yeah, vote for it, if you want it, if you don't feel strong, you don't want it. And I don't want to die on $40,000.
Well, ideally what I proposed was to have 4 members at basically each one. So that would create movement for about 5 people.
So 4 3s, 4 2s, 4 1s,
4, yes.
and then X number of CDL.
Well, CDL is required because being able to repair staff and,
And does all that mean 40,000?
well, we just thought that was a good number for those types of movements plus PTO payout, things like that. That's the standard numbers.
If somebody make a strong case and I'll support it.
That is, I'm done making cases, that's it. For 4s and for 3s, again, the 4s can do the 3 work.
I'm sorry, say that again.
The level 4s that we have can do the level 3 work, so I think, I mean, we're. The 4s and 3s. in
It's
this
the
case are
same, it's the
synonymous.
same thing, so.
So to have more level 3s would be
So
over,
we get basically 8 level 3s.
yes. So that's right.
We
So-
could go out and perform tasks all over. Any task that is required for.
Okay, so this is a budget item for the 40,000. This is not deciding on the staff policy right now.
Right.
Oh, okay, yeah, thanks.
But I mean, we'll come back to that in 10 minutes, so
No.
it's. Yes,
Is our motion to remove the 40,000?
oh, the motion is to remove the 40,000.
All right, then I'll second it. Let's move on.
Okay,
I'm easy.
okay, thank you. I motion Director Wickman second, just for a new draft of the
Yeah.
one to go through. Okay, I'm not even gonna ask for discussion. All in favor of removing that? That is unanimous. Thank you. Motion passes. So that's a new, is there any other amendments to, we would have scenario B1 with that item removed, and then any other amendments suggested for that?
Well, I don't wanna start anything, but on the other hand, I still have to think, I noticed at the end, there was like, wanna buy a truck and a bunch of little items at the end. My first instinct is, I don't know, and if you think you need them, we're going to have them. But I thought I should at least mention that is it an issue or is it not?
As far as the business cases,
At the last few pages.
yeah, so, yeah, those are all just kind of explaining why we need it, why we help district,
I
so.
don't know, as far as I'm concerned, if you have a good reason why, I can't second guess it, I don't know. I just like, I remember the previous board was, oh my God, we spent $50,000 on a truck, we can't have that. Yeah, I just remember the good old days.
We are truck heavy.
Are we truck in?
We're truck heavy compared, according to Jeff.
And we just got one fix for large bottom too.
But I think we went through all of those,
Oh, we wanna replace that one?
I think we went through all of those discussions and asked questions
Yeah,
about the equipment
sure.
last time.
So everything's fine there? Okay, good enough.
Good? All right, so we have
B1 flat rate.
And-
Okay.
an understanding for a December hearing. Okay, thank you all. Tough decisions. do you have any other
I think
questions?
I'm clear.
Okay, it's only one scenario here, so,
Yeah, I'm glad.
all right.
Get back to one.
Thank you very much for all your work. Thank you for being here tonight to explain and do this all in person again.
Now, what about tap fees? Are we doing anything on that?
That was to be presented, at the, rate hearing next month. But we will get that information out to you.
Yeah, I mean, ordinarily we do at the end of the year, so I'm unclear as to whether we're gonna do something or not do something.
You're having a rate and fee setting hearing at the December meeting.
Didn't you give us a draft of this? Didn't? Am I just lost? Did you do it? No, not yet. Okay.
Well, you sent us a memo of things were supposed to be considered as part of the law,
Oh,
and it was like, good stuff. But I didn't see the actual numbers.
No dollars have gone out, no.
No, about,
So at the next meeting, we'll have dollar amounts.
yes, you'll have them. Very good advance. We were waiting on some construction index numbers and things like that to help us.
Yeah, and as I recall, there's a certain number of days that it has to be out in public or something like
Yeah,
that.
that was, it's been running since the November sixth. So the
Something's
budget
been-
hearing and the rate hearing. Have been running in the transcripts.
Okay, but it just says there's gonna be a meeting. It doesn't say what the number is.
Because that is done at.
Okay, but I guess I don't recall now. Does the actual number need to be out there proposed for 30 days? Or just 30 days to let them know this was a meeting?
Just notice the occurrence of the meeting, not the contents of the discussion or the specific dollars.
all right, then, I think we're moving on to the district manager report.
Not a lot to report this month. We did keep the focus on the budget, but we had one May break in October, so we're at this time well below our average. We average about 25 a year. We're at 12.
Wow.
It was only 6-inch cast iron pipe, all in 1968, and the leaf was from ground. So when it shifts, it snaps the pipe. We do.
Is that the union in Florida?
No, this was Green Mountain Drive in Yankee Street.
So about 57 years. That kind of fits in with our IRP.
Right. And they're just normal ongoing maintenance. They replaced a couple of fire hydrants and a couple of valves that were leaking. When our guys are out exercising valves, we come across one that leaks. We schedule repair, full permits with the city, all that kind of stuff. Those were just routine ongoing. It's part of our maintenance plan. Development reviews, we did have one request for an ADU at 643 South Big Way. We sent them a letter via certified mail, letting them know that we're not accepting a new connection because of where they're tying in is on a line that is at. PFD value, it's exceeding 0.7, so that information was sent to them, we instructed them on how they can file a
Appeal.
appeal. Yeah.
Who gets the appeal? Just us.
Well, they'll request information from the district. Like, I will make our determination if they don't like what our determination is, and then come forward, so. That for now, I have not heard from them. Infrastructure replacement projects. Our DERP 1 is complete. Sewers has been complete since I think July. And DERP 2, they are on the last street right now, so we expect to have that wrapped up by somewhere right before Thanksgiving. So all projects will be completed in 2025 and.
That's great.
Went pretty well. We got a lot of compliments from the contractor. Their cleanliness on the streets. We had a few people that were also a little bit upset on the road conditions, like, when they mill rather than patch all the way back in order to just mill again.
What street are you talking about?
Dakota Drive.
And
Cause we had a couple projects on beach a couple, last few weeks. Was that have anything to do with us?
On Beachville. We did. A street that tied into beach in 24. Mississippi Court.
Well, these were two houses side by side, and they dug a trench from the house to the middle of the street.
That could have been maybe a sewer contractor replacing the customers, excuse me, like replacing their service line, but that was not.
Not us, okay.
the attitude towards sewer lines is, it's just a matter of time, you have to replace them. Then when I talk to you, it's dependent upon, is no matter what it looks like, is it still functioning?
Yeah, it depends, you know, a lot of the customer services are clay tile, not clay tile, but vitrified clay, so it's a casted clay pipe. It's an inert pipe, it'll last
Yeah,
a very long time, it's corrosion resistant. The only thing bad about it is, ground movement, when it breaks, it shatters, there's not a lot of flexibility.
and the trees really love it at the ends. The pipe's only what, 4 foot?
They're anywhere, depending on who casts the pipe, it's anywhere from 3 to 5 feet segments, so you picture a bunch of 5 foot long pipes stuck together and.
And a segment is always long.
Yeah, the bell spigot connections at the time weren't the best, they weren't air and water tight, so there was. That climate inside the pipe, it's very humid and tree roots with that. Exposed earth have a nice easy path.
You call it bell and spigot.
Bell and spigot, yes.
Does the district manager normally spot check work around the district?
Yes.
And I'm not requiring you to secure.
No, yeah, I'll go out and pop in on the contractors and see how operations are going since I, was in the field for a long time, so.
So do you get much of a perspective on? Cause I hear a lot of things about sewer pipes. The same amount of positive is the same amount of negative. And then when I called you there one day 100 years ago, it's kind of interesting, is it working?
We'll give them a fair assessment if they ask. We used to advertise it was a service that we provide, but a lot of people are just bypassing the process altogether. But if somebody submits a video, I'll review it and give them a fair and honest opinion.
Things. Put everybody to death with that question.
That's all I have for
Thank you.
this morning.
Excellent. Well, that was short, but it sounds like there's a lot of things going on. Okay, well then moving along, we are back to the modification of the staff policies. And that has been adequately explained. Thank you, Sam, for bringing up. This is what was sent around. It is 2 sentences to say just what we talked about, to fill vacancies and raises once a year.
Is there some reason why it needs to be done tonight?
No, this doesn't need to be done tonight. The budget line needed to be done, but unless you want to discuss it again, I think it has been adequately discussed tonight.
So. As you know, I have the pet peeve about, need to think about it for 30 days. And all I saw was 2 weeks ago, we said we're gonna discuss the subject, whatever that is. And then this came to us 24 hours ago.
Right.
And that procedure to me is just too quick. If it's not a crisis, I think it should be put off to the next month.
Well, I'm of two minds about that because I don't think your mind and any further research will be done on this item. So that's why it is okay and it was noticed. And I gave you the extra 2 weeks to talk about, and I don't know that there was any modifications to this in the first place. So this is just correcting a misunderstanding that I felt in here. But just saying, it's not an emergency, we'll just bring it back and I will make sure to talk it to death so that you will pay for it later. How's that? Anybody else? I am going to say completely, just like you just threw out, Director Wickman, but I'm crabby tonight. At any point in time, you are a director here. You have been a director. This is your second term. And you so far have never made a motion to modify our rules and procedures. Instead, you bring this up every time you want to do it. And instead, why don't we just say, if you want to modify our procedures, why don't you bring in city council's manual and we will act like city council and we will do that. Instead, until then, we have our own policies and procedures and maybe we can just learn to run by these. It's been 5 years.
You can, and I will,
If you would like to bring stuff up,
No.
change the rules.
I have brought it up before, and I've been voted down.
Well, then-
I understand it,
Oh,
but that doesn't mean I have to accept it.
okay.
I will continue to protest it every time. They can just run over me. It's okay. That's the way the world works.
Well, actually, that's a good point. We did bring this up and we did vote against it, maybe I'll just motion for it now and just be done with this. Can we be done with this and not bring it up next time? I'll make a motion to adopt the staff policies as we just showed.
I'll second that.
Second by Director Wendell. Any discussion? Is there a need to discuss this at the next meeting?
I think we need to discuss it at the next meeting. I think we need some time to go over it. Since it seems to be Director Morgan's approach by which she, sort of by which she falls on to throw her weight around this table and berate people and take advantage of her position.
Anybody can make a motion, but thank you for the speech.
I'm not done.
Okay,
Okay, and so I think we need to go over some procedures and talk about a few of them and in more detail. One being notification of special meetings, which I was trying to,
Oh.
I was shut down a little bit earlier, but
I'm
since
sorry,
we're talking about this,
but we're talking about this.
and this is part of that, I'd like to see this in detail and about that little process and what's in place, because it's just not germane to my ability to be notified. But I think in a timely manner to get myself in position to show up for short half-hour special meetings, particularly since there is a thing,
We're
if you miss,
digressing.
let me finish.
No,
Let me finish.
Stay on topic.
If you miss, if
stay
you miss,
on topic.
if you
This
miss
is
three,
that.
if you
Forget
miss 3 meetings in a
I'm
row,
calling
you're
the-
out of here.
Call the question. You can't stay on topic once again. This is the topic.
Well, then why don't you call another little, let's.
We're done.
We're done, okay.
We're
fine.
gonna call the question and we're gonna vote on this topic and not the procedures. I don't know why this is hard.
Would you please control yourself?
No,
Please.
she's the one that's controlling herself. I'm talking about
We're
these
digressing.
policies,
Please
because I
lower
wanna
your
talk
voice.
about it.
Lower
She
your-
raised voice to me first.
Please lower your,
Again,
can't you act civilly?
Yeah, I can, up to
Then
a
let's
point
do
when
that.
somebody starts talking over me.
because this is it. We're done. The motion is to approve these 2 sentences
And there was a
that we
discussion.
discussed. And we're done, since we did discuss it for about half an hour before, so that everybody was bored. So all in favor of these 2 sentence modifications? Okay, all against? Motion fails. So we will bring this back next month. Director Wendell and Morgan were for, Director Martinez, Wickman, and Hardinger were against, for the record. Moving on to hiring a water rights attorney.
It's in my,
Um. And I will try and do better in future of asking for a formal table so that we can do that instead of doing whatever it is you do every time.
I'll give you a call.
Formally table the issue. We're on to hiring a water rights attorney. We are, I believe, I sent around. At the last meeting, there was. I don't know what to say. I had found somebody, Kent Holsinger, who would answer my questions, kind of came out, side of the special district area. So I was recommending him and I had a chance to send him around. Dylan had also sent around a list. As far as I had heard, Director Martinez was the one who did the most research on that, and you were going to follow up with Mr. Holsinger.
Yeah, I think I'm going with the person you recommend.
Okay. So then. I will
Okay.
just,
That's okay. The guy named Anderson was good and that was what Doug. Isn't that right?
I don't remember any Anderson,
What was the law firm?
Nazarena, Stock,
Yeah.
Walbacher.
Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah, Holsinger.
Kent Holsinger.
It's okay. We'll go with what you want. I don't know how to rate attorneys.
Okay. All right, then I am moving to engage. Holsinger, he had sent an engagement agreement. Which looked,
I reviewed it, it's normal and fine, it needs a scope of work inserted.
okay. And the scope of work would be. To look at. Well, and I sent it to him in email for the water rights issues relating to service outside of our district. And if the sewer service, water service is adequately delineated to align with Colorado Compact type of thing. Okay.
That's a motion, I second it.
Okay. The motion is to hire Kent Holsinger as a water rights attorney. Seconded by Director Wickman. Any other discussion? All in favor? Unanimous approval and go on. Does any, and I didn't put it on here, as a separate motion carries. I have those questions. Maybe I should have said that before. I don't know what any answers will be. Does anybody else want to be looking at what I'm assuming is that I will send him a list of questions and then we will go something like what you did and we'll be looking at the answers later on. Does anybody else want to prepare questions with me to send, to be working on that? You would like to do that?
Cause I'm wondering. What. Legal counsel always seems to have a better take on. What's the possibilities and what are not the possibilities, so I like to hear them say that.
Okay,
I would probably get involved too.
okay, well, only 2 people can do it. If you guys want to work on it, I will step back and say, I have said in before, so I can probably just relay that again and you guys can work on it and I will step out. That is totally fine with me.
Maybe we should.
I can take it or leave it, whatever. I'm easy.
Okay.
Can I? You like it working with it?
Yeah, I could.
Okay,
He doesn't mind beer though.
okay.
I can't understand.
I'm gonna send, if that's okay with everybody else?
Yeah.
I will send, I have already talked to him. It would be okay if I called him and and relate this message and where I want, and then let them go from there.
Yep.
Okay, and give them the contact information.
Yep.
All right, very good. Okay. Next would be Director Wendell's discussion of the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'd like us to say the pledge before every meeting. Probably a good point to put that in the agenda would be right after the call to order and declaration of quorum. To me, would be an appropriate spot for that.
Well, I'm gonna strongly oppose it. On the one hand, because I don't think it has anything to do with the water district business. On the one hand, I think I'm a very patriotic person, and I said the pledge in school. And when I joined the military, and joined the federal government, city council, we did, so I don't have any problem doing it. But the point is, it doesn't have anything to do with our business, and it could be offensive to some. I think right now this board needs to be working on trying to work together better, right, rather than coming up with divisive wedges. And if anybody is upset with it, why should we even do it? It's not part of our business.
Who would be upset with it?
I'm upset with it. I don't think you're trying to force a belief or a process that you believe in on me. And don't get me wrong, I'm as patriotic as anybody else. I believe in this country, live this country. But I just don't want to have somebody tell me when and where I should be showing my patriotism, and that's what you're trying to do.
We're not requiring anybody to participate.
But once again, as I said before, this is a recorded thing, and so I don't think that that's has anything to do with put somebody in that position.
So you'd be ashamed to say the pledge.
No, I'm not
because you're-
ashamed simply, but you're putting me in that position to where if I don't, somebody could take offense to it. And then, and see me not doing it, and then come by and say something to me. And in today's environment, that's a big issue. And I live in this district, and I made my home in the state
The point is,
my whole life.
one of the
I'm a
directors.
fourth generation native, and I don't think that if you wanna talk about, let's talk about patriotism. I know that everybody at this table cannot say that,
Anyway, someone
so
finds it
you wanna go
offensive.
down that road.
And you're ashamed to say the pledge.
No, I'm not ashamed to say the pledge, I just
What do you-
wanna be
what's your
forced to say it.
You're not being forced to say it.
You're saying, you're requiring us to say it before
No,
the meeting.
we are not requiring you to
The,
say it.
the issue is he finds it offensive. There's no positive reason to do it.
It's done everywhere.
I know we did it at city council, and I don't have any problem with it, but the point is, it's not something we need to do. What we need to do is focus on doing our job.
So we have an American flag right there. Are you saying remove it?
No, we're not doing anything.
It's taking up space.
This board has been meeting for 30, 40, 50 years, whatever, without doing the pledge. It has nothing to do with our business. All we're trying to do is create some conflict. If it's only conflict with one person, well, so be it. I mean, I could say the pledge, et cetera, and I'll actually end up voting for your silly motion, but I think it's wrong. It doesn't have any place here. And all I can see is you're trying to create some conflict with art.
It's exactly what it is, it's trying to create conflict with me.
No,
That's all you ever do.
I don't agree.
Yeah.
I want to show respect for the country I love. It's done at other government.
Well, then you can do it, you can do it in your own private place, in your own time, and you can do it to your own heart's content. It's not up to you to try to force other people to do it.
I'm not forcing you to do it. I'm just asking that we do it as a group, at the beginning of our meetings. If you're too ashamed to say it, you don't
I
have to
do
do it.
anything to say it, I just don't like being forced to do something
Yeah.
that is unnecessary.
It's
Director
performative. You're trying to do a show. It's like, you know, having prayer at school. If you want to pray in your own heart, that's fine, but you don't need to be making a show. And that's all this is you want to make a show to make art look bad. I don't see any purpose in that at all.
Well, I think that was a pretty derogatory statement. I don't think that what Director Wendell said was making the show at all. And I think he's felt strongly, and every year he feels strongly on Veterans Day, and I think this is an appropriate time for that. So I feel that that was,
And for the record, I'm a veteran.
so
You know, here.
I would, is there any other?
And I thank you for your service.
The-
Did you go and play flags over at the Fort Logan?
I think we've
Yes,
got
I
the
did.
basics
You
of
did
the
today?
conversation
I
down.
thank you for
My
that.
father is buried there.
Yes, well, we went and did my father, he's not buried there because we.
Anyway, we're,
Direct, yes.
we're off
I,
topic
I'm
here.
trying. Director Hardinger, do you have any comments?
No.
Is there a motion then?
Yeah, I move that we accept, that we state the pledge for every meeting.
Okay. Is there a second? I will second. Any other discussion? I will just say that as a government, I am perfectly happy sitting on my butt and not saying the pledge just because I am lazy, but it is a good reminder of how we all supposed to be together under one country, and this is the freedom from this country to even gather as this government. So, okay. Anything else? Yes.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna make one statement. I will vote for it because I am extremely patriotic and I don't mind anybody knowing that. And I don't want this somehow turned around and, oh, Whitman voted against the pledge. He's a closet communist. And so with that misrepresentation out there, I'm not gonna do that. So I will vote for the silly motion, but I will sit there and say, I think it's inappropriate.
All in favor of saying the pledge? Was that a yes or a yes?
That was a yes.
Yes, yes, if I have to. Okay. 4 in favor and Director Martinez is against?
It is, sir.
Okay, Director Martinez is against. Motion carries then. And that is the conclusion of directors matters. Thank you, everyone. On to legal matters, is there anything for general updates?
Provided a memorandum on the tap fee legislation. I hope people had an opportunity to review that. It's not. I provided that to all my district clients, tailored to whether they are water and sanitation or sanitation. So you all are probably the most abreast on that anyway. So I don't think that there's probably any new information in there, but I hope it was helpful to you. Any questions?
No, but can I interrupt? I'm sorry, this is totally off topic. Thank you very much for your work. Also, as a general matter, thank you, Mr. Stanley, for your work on general updates. You sent out a memo for the zoning updates in comparison in city and state. And I did not say thank you during director's manager report. So thank you for that. That's your work there. Sorry to interrupt. My brain's scattered.
That's all right. So I can give a general litigation update. We have 2 executive sessions on the agenda. I'm not sure that we actually need an executive session because there's, you're welcome to ask me questions. You're welcome to have an executive session if you'd like, but after I give my general update, I'm not sure that it'll be necessary. So the 2 executive sessions proposed are for the 2 Timmons lawsuits. So about 2 years ago, she sued in federal district court, alleging violations of her civil rights, essentially, for being terminated. That case was dismissed and she appealed.
And that case, did that involve any money
She was seeking money in that case
for her salaries or whatever,
for
or her work?
for the financial consequences of her First Amendment rights being violated. So she was not seeking unpaid fees in that case.
And let me hold on to that then. Because right now, she wants to be paid for her work.
So hold on to your thoughts. And I think it'll become clear. So that case was dismissed and she appealed. In the interim, while that case was being appealed, she sued in state for unpaid fees on general legal litigation and contingency agreement seeking about $200,000.
Right.
that case went to trial last month. She prevailed at the trial, state level. My firm is representing the district in that case. You had counterclaims. You've received the order there. My partner, John, has filed a post-trial motion for amendment of the findings in that case. It's got some sort of in the weed requests for the judge to change his order. It's not an appeal. It's a request for the trial court judge to change his findings and order based on some of the evidence that was presented.
That's where the remanding comes in?
No. So that's where the trial court fees issue, unpaid fees issue stands. That'll be briefed, that motion will be briefed, it'll take 45 days or so to get a ruling on, and then, I will bring you an update on whatever the trial court says. Last week, the appeal of the First Amendment violation claim dismissal was resolved, and the appellate court reversed the dismissal. So it is.
That's where I get confused.
Yeah.
The dismissal was the district court?
The federal district court, yes.
Oh, yeah, but good point. We're not talking about Golden.
Right, yeah,
Okay, we're talking about the federal district
yes,
dismissed the case.
yes,
And the case was, she brought it against us.
yes.
And
And it was, and it,
The dismissal was reversed, yes.
okay, but going back to dismissal, so at that point, we were winning.
You won,
We
yes.
won.
She appealed.
She appealed,
She won the appeal.
she won the appeal.
Now it is back and it is in the judge's hands.
So it
So,
sounds like deja vu.
so the judge has a variety of options. She can order the case to proceed. She can order additional briefing on the underlying dismissal motion. She can reissue an order on the motion to dismiss, finding for the district or finding for Ms. Timmons. She can set a status conference for the attorneys to come and talk about the status of the case. Lots of different things. And since the appeal came down yet last week, she has taken no action. So there's no update on the
Who you
trial.
say she, Timmons or the judge?
The judge.
The
It's-
judge is not taking any action.
Correct.
What's the deadline for action needs to be done?
Federal judges don't have deadlines for what they do.
Interesting.
She can.
So this will be
take her
hanging
time.
over us like forever.
Could be a long time, yeah.
Okay.
I don't practice much in federal court, so I don't have any particular insights into that, but it could be a long time.
And
So-
long time hurts her more than it hurts us, because we don't.
You have no claims in that case, so a long time doesn't matter to you.
So we have no claims in this federal.
In the federal court case, correct. Yep, you were just defending and you have counsel that's been hired by your insurer.
And we think we will keep that counsel.
Oh, yes, I'm quite sure.
So are we back to step one in that case? Or do we?
Maybe that's gonna be up to the judge, whether you're at step one or step 1.5 or
In
something.
no hurry to make a decision on whether it's.
The actual merits, if the case ever gets to a merits decision in front of a judge and a jury, is
Long time away.
probably 3 or 4 years away.
In the meantime, this person is. We're living in her head.
She probably thinks about the case a lot, yeah.
And we're living in it. Oh, poor lady.
She's living in our head, so there you go. So the question would be.
No,
She doesn't care about it.
Anyway, she's the initiative.
I don't care about it.
And so it's kind of up to her. She could just drop it, I would assume, but she won't.
Ms. Timmons.
Yes. Yeah, I'm sorry, I did the same thing as she.
Yeah,
Timmons,
I suppose she could, yeah.
she could, so the ball is in her court.
No, it's in the judge's court.
Well, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying both, both. Well, if Timmons said, never mind, I've had enough, forget it, then that would be the end of it, right?
Probably it's,
But that'll never happen.
Doesn't seem likely. No.
Okay, so then in theory, it goes to the judge. And the judge will look at it whenever she feels like it.
It is in the judge's hands right now to do with what she pleases.
Okay, what they were just saying, that could be weeks, months, years.
Yes.
Okay.
That's my understanding.
Okay. And so at this point, is there anything that we can or should be doing? O'Connell is on it and
There's,
we just stay out of it.
yeah, there's nothing at all to do in the federal case.
Okay.
Right. And there's no decisions for the board with the trial court case either, although there might be later.
Well, I noticed in that stuff that, I guess, what your paralegal sent us today, there was stuff about saying that the $166,000 that the court had awarded Timmons should be cut back somehow or another. I didn't
Yes,
catch the understanding.
that was our post-trial motion for amendment of the findings.
Post-trial motion.
Yes,
Okay, so that issue is still in play.
yes.
Okay.
So. We also filed the Rabin lawsuit. I believe you received the file stamped copies of that earlier today or yesterday. And I believe that's going out for service or has already.
Okay, anything from our other friends, like Big Sky or,
No additional litigation updates. Not, as far as I'm aware, Big Sky is just continuing to follow the court's order. The IGA is being implemented sort of gradually.
anything going on with the Fed Center?
Not really. I need to, now that the election time has passed, I need to follow up with them about the timing of the effect of the exclusion. So we're in the point where other people need to be doing things. Consolidated Mutual and City of Lakewood and the petitioner. Nothing for the district to do, but I need to just make sure that everyone else is doing what they're supposed to be doing.
Well, you know, my fear is that somehow this might get derailed.
Right.
And you can sit there and say my fears are groundless, or I'm a conspiracy theorist, whatever.
Yeah.
Those are my fears. Are we on track? Or can we be derailed?
Well, you know, things can always go wrong, but I have no evidence that anything has gone wrong. And I expect to hear that everything is on track.
Okay, so have we heard anything? It's secondhand, third hand, whatever. Are we hearing from the city or whatever that all is on track?
No, that's why I need to follow up with them, just to find out.
Okay. Now, I think originally we were talking about being all done with this like in January, February timeframe. We still think that's probably,
I think the end of the year was what I said, and I still think that that's true.
and the year's coming up pretty quick.
Is, yeah.
Okay. I'm the guy that sits there waiting for shoes to drop, so I was like, okay,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Shoes drop.
The old expression, shoes gotta drop. You know, surprise, you know.
If there are no other questions. That's all
And that means we don't need an executive session?
I have. Unless there was something in what I said that raised any questions.
Excellent, which means we will not have that for legal actions resulting from an executive session. Okay. Well, not to move too fast, is there any new business?
Yeah. I want to put, we'll be putting on the agenda that we discussed this, as I mentioned earlier in the meeting. The policy and procedures for notification of special meetings. It has to be, in my opinion, and my experience, more than just putting it out on the website, because sometimes you're out of pocket. Like up in the mountains and you can't get any service, you're up there for a few days. And make a special trip down just to make my meeting. So I want to do that with the meeting for the next session. And then I'm also want to put on there, I'm still waiting to hear the explanation for the $50 million that we lost supposedly in revenue. I still haven't seen that document and direct some illumination from you. Given it a couple of months, so I'm gonna put that in the next month's agenda for you to have that ready for a discussion.
Director Martinez, this is sort of tangential, but you mentioned earlier the three meetings, the three absences resulting in a vacancy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that that is 3 regular meetings, so special meetings don't count.
It's still a point that if there's a special meeting call, we don't get what I consider proper notification.
Sure, and
And
that's,
it's not that hard to pick up the phone and call. Now, my fallback is this young man here next to me. He'll let me know sometimes. And even when he's out in Europe, he keeps me abreast. Okay, so I think we need to have maybe something in place where if there's a special meeting that's called, that a call maybe from the district manager would be appropriate. I mean, because when you're out of pocket, you don't have a computer. And I was gonna say, well, use your cell phone. I can't type. I cannot type. I shake. I have a nervous condition. It's essential tremors. And I can't do it. So cell phones don't work for me. Even a mouse, even nowadays, it's getting hard for me to utilize. So,
Since you raised a question for you, I don't remember those rules. Is it 3 consecutive, 3 total, 3 in a year, 3 in the course of your career? Can they be excused later? I don't recall what the rules are.
the statute says a vacancy shall occur on the occurrence of 3 unexcused absences from regular meetings. So
Over the course of your 4-year term?
they're consecutive,
Wait, consecutive.
3.
three consecutive, one after the other.
Correct.
So if you miss one month, and then 2 months later, you miss another one, that's not consecutive.
Correct.
Oh, okay, well, that was my question.
Yep.
You have to miss 3 in a row.
Yep.
That was my question. Thank you.
Pretty sure it says consecutive.
Hmm?
You sure it says consecutive?
Well, that's my question. Consecutive is quite a bit different than just 3.
It does not say during the year. So there's still ambiguity. I don't know if this helps. But I don't know that this needs an agenda item. If you are not checking your email and you would like a special.
I check
call,
emails.
well, you got an email.
When I get the emails, I check the emails, but I understand what I understand. I don't remember seeing an email for that half-hour meeting.
Yeah.
I don't remember seeing it. And if I did, I missed it. But I did check my emails and I would prefer to have a direct conversation with somebody who wants, particularly since you're the one's calling most of the meetings.
So my point
So,
is, we didn't do anything because you had made a point to say that you got emails and that you were checking them. So that was a big
It's
deal
on
at
the
one point.
website. It's on the
No,
website.
you got an email. But
I'll go back and recheck it.
I'm sure that this doesn't need to be a policy thing on an
Well, I'm gonna
agenda.
make it a policy.
If you would like Josh to call you, I'm sure he'd be happy to
I'm
call
gonna make it a policy.
for, okay, we will have
I
this
think it's a
discussion
whole.
later.
I think it's a whole.
It is. In the meantime, Mr. Stanley, if before our next regular meeting, there is a special meeting called, will you please call on the phone Director Martinez and let him know that there's a special meeting?
And thank you for that. I'm still gonna push it as a policy.
That is fine. We will talk about it later. I would suggest that anything that anybody has as, and I'm gonna say the same thing now. Come up with something and work on it in the meantime, so that there's something to vote on. I'm going to do the same thing myself, but I'm not going to do it. I'm gonna ask you to do it. Could you please, Mr. Stanley, look at, I wanna say it's the bylaws. For the order of our meetings. And. Put a draft in there to say that if there's any special presentations or guests, that we move them permanently to the beginning before approval of the minutes, so that we don't have to do this every time, ask.
Absolutely.
And I think that should include guests, especially and no, just guests for that, anything public. Okay. We can, and then we can talk and vote on that language later. And. No, anybody else?
One point, attorney. Not Dylan Wilson. So I have a discussion with an attorney and I asked him if he had a chance. I have a pretty enthusiastic defensive mode for this board. And it's not that this board is perfect, but I've seen a lot of injustice and accusations by city and state about what this board has done in acting in its own, what it's supposed to do. So that's something I'm gonna bring up. And I want an attorney to accept that and feel that emotion. Is I mean, I really like it when they say you can or you cannot take this any further in court. But boy, that's something, if anybody wants to know what it is that I'm interested in an attorney, that's it.
If I'm hearing, if we have this thing right now where we can't ask for counsel and pay for it unless it's $100, I can't remember what the number is, or $1,000, whatever. So if you want the district to pay for some sort of legal advice, it has to be approved by the board. Remember, we went through this a few months ago,
Yes.
$1,000 or something like that.
Right.
So is that what you're gonna be doing, is asking for approval to fund a question to a,
I'm first gonna ask the attorney if I need to bother.
ask the attorney or a attorney?
That attorney, this attorney has already told us in good form what it is that we can do and what we cannot do. And he knows that stuff because he's been in court before. He understands that.
So
This other attorney is gonna be asked the same thing. Do we have a case?
that gives rise to two questions. Number one, you wanna know something, sounds like you've asked Dylan, and it's the sort of thing.
Oh, Dylan's given an opinion a number of times.
Right, well, this is my question.
Strengths and weaknesses.
Okay, if you've asked him something, so then the question is, well, do you want a second opinion to see if they agree or disagree with him? Or, that's one way of interpreting,
So, yeah.
that's my way of interpreting your questions. Or are you looking at something else entirely?
Well. The attorneys, it's like. We got one bit of advice, you cannot show any damages right now. From the first type of case that we were talking about, we are not able to show financial.
The Timmons case.
You're talking about the possibility of achieving an injunction
Injunction
based on the rezoning.
and so. The attorney.
Talk about the city rezoning?
Yeah, the laws. And Dylan gave us
Okay,
due notice, I mean, he was just, you can't play that game. You can't
Are
So
we,
and succeed as well as
We should not discuss, in open session,
Oh.
executive session.
Thank you.
Then it sounds like you're asking, can we put on next meeting's agenda or soon, executive session to discuss these issues?
Is that what we should do?
I think you probably may want to have an executive session. I think it would depend on how the conversation with Kent goes.
Yeah, I'm completely lost as to what you're talking about. Are we?
Yeah, what?
Oh,
Kent is-
Water council.
okay, so I'm not the only one who's confused. We voted if we voted tonight to hire Kent
Oh, yeah, okay.
for a water rights question, and
right.
you two are going to be
Right.
talking to him about water rights and water rights only.
Okay, okay.
So it's not gonna be Timmons or anything
No,
else.
Timmons, I'm not
Okay.
involved in Timmons.
So that's what you're talking about, is a conversation with Kent.
Yes, thank you.
And
Okay, okay.
there should be, for this question, it's gonna be more than $100. That's why we had to do this new engagement.
Okay.
So
So,
you're kind of going wild here.
so we are authorized to ask questions of Kent.
Yes, and so that we're clear. Or the original mandate, like I was. My envision for this was to say. That service to Big Sky. Service to Fossa Ridge for that matter, to Solterra. I don't understand. Is there a problem with that? Because the water rights, we are not dealing with water, but we take the sewer. And for some reason that feels like a violation of the spirit of the law in the Colorado Compact, that we don't serve that area.
Feels like a violation to who? To
The
you or to
spirit
them
of
or
law.
in general?
Yes, to me. So I wanna make sure that there is
We have
a legal, that everything is legal
the big
in
grants.
If we don't,
service.
if we don't give them water.
If we don't provide service, we're not giving them water.
I don't know, okay, but I thought sewer, we were now required, we lost the lawsuit, now we have to provide sewer, don't we?
We didn't explore this question during that time. Now we are going through we're upholding the IGA, but I am still concerned about this question. That was not part of that.
And I'm sorry I brought it up because I didn't word it correctly and anyway.
No, I needed that explanation, yeah, well, obviously my mind was all sorts of places.
So if this is something I mean, I'm happy to do, that's where I was going, is to make sure. And I have talked to Dylan a little bit about that, and we had ideas about how it's probably there. So I've been exploring this for a little while. Maybe he can catch you up to date, but maybe this is. Go explore and do what you're gonna do and
Thank you.
see what goes on.
All right.
Thank you.
Cause
It helps a little bit, because otherwise I don't know what we were talking about, okay.
well, so
Well,
maybe, I
I'm
mean,
not
so is this
splitting.
not a good idea? I mean, I'm happy to step back in. This was,
Well,
If you.
I don't wanna waste money
No, you wanna
talking about
write
something
down,
else.
you wanna write down some of your concerns too, when we have this meeting with this person. That you have some certain.
Yeah,
You have some
definitely.
certain suggestions and concerns too.
Yeah.
Please put that in an email through our, what do we call that, secret society? The Google, Microsoft. Huh?
Wondering?
Yeah, not OneDrive.
what, the Ku Klux Klan?
Yeah, the Ku Klux Klan. We have, when I sign into my account,
The district email?
district.
I mean, I don't wanna, I'll send it to him, like I said during the meeting, I'll send him an email. I don't wanna be getting into, we are working on documents together and working as a 3, I can't do. So, again, if it's,
I just want. I'll call you later.
okay. All right, let's adjourn the meeting and we will solve
Yeah,
problems as they
so-
come up.